Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everywhere in the entire world, wherever you are joining us from. I'm coming to you live from the east coast of Canada, and this show is Toast to Toast AM. And I'm a little out of practice, and I apologies for being slightly tardy. If you're watching this on the replay, you'll have no idea, but I appreciate you sticking with us. And I also appreciate the man who's joining me tonight, who makes this all possible in his own way.
That's a blatant lie.
Well,
You shouldn't fib to your viewers like that, Paul.
it's my co-host Dave. Welcome,
Hello,
David.
Internet. It's wonderful to be here. I've missed you all so much.
And this is a rare Monday evening toast to toast
Yeah,
AM.
not the rare in that I'm sure it's never happened, and may never again. Who can say?
Possibly.
But here we are. We get to enjoy this moment together. And what is time, Paul?
What is
Arbitrary.
time? But that's right. These days are arbitrary, especially when you're a full-time YouTuber.
Yeah.
Then
Full-time YouTubers and my retired parents, neither of whom time means a great deal to.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we are here as always to enjoy an episode of Coast to Coast AM, and we celebrate the Art Bell era. It is a
The
show
Art Bell era.
that is still on air, and it is
Well, the Art Bell era isn't still on
the
air,
Art Bell era. Art is no longer with us, sadly.
Yeah, but Coast to Coast AM is still very much on the air. Yep,
And
going strong.
our show is both an homage and a critique all at once.
Yes. Last time we we crushed our old record for how little of the actual
That is
Art Bell
correct.
episode we got through. Yeah.
So the episode, once adjusted for copyright material and commercial breaks and all that kind of thing, it was an 80. No, I believe it was it's a 2.5 hour episode, and we got through like 22 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I believe it was what 250 minutes, I think was the,
yes, 250 minutes, and we got through like 22 of them. So
less than 10%. Yeah.
we are going to see if we can get a little bit further beyond this time. But if we don't, we don't, because this show is about having fun, and a lot of it is interacting with you, the audience. And in fact, Timothy Harmon, a intrepid, faithful viewer, already starting us off with a super chat. He wants to know about your T-shirt, Dave.
Oh, okay. This shirt is the Elsinore Brewery, which I'm going to leave it there if anybody knows what the Elsinore Brewery is or represents. Or I can just throw it out.
No.
I'm not actually looking at the chat at all. I probably should, since that's,
that's part of the fun.
That's what we do here.
All right. So before we get to the logistics of the show and talking about the topic tonight and all this kind of thing, here we have a lot of bills to pay, as you know, on Toast to Toast.
We do. Yeah.
AM.
We do, unfortunately.
And so do we have...
And, it's with the season that's upon us and the commercialism that's rampant. There we go. Alias fake name knows what this is from. Yes, this is Strange Brew. Good stuff. One of my favorite movies. Bob and Doug McKenzie. Anyways, back to business. We got Paul and I got some bills to pay. There's gifts to buy, all kinds of things to do, dinners, whatnot. So we got an exciting new sponsor this week, Paul.
Awesome. We'll take it away. I don't know who we've got tonight, so I'm just going to leave it in your capable hands here.
Are you tired, achy, suffering from parched throat and dry lips? Do you suffer from headaches, muscle cramps, dry skin, and a complete inability to cry and or sweat? We've all felt like this most days of our lives. But thankfully, there's a new product out here to help. I hesitate to use the term miracle cure because that makes it sound like flim flam and hokum Paul. Baseless superstition at best, or the worst type of snake oil sales pitch con. But there really is no other way to describe today's sponsor. I've never in my life had one beverage cure so many aches and ailments. Paul, today's stream is sponsored by Liquid Ice. Now I know what you're thinking. Ice? The stuff I put in my drink to make it cold? The rink what hockey players stand on? Yes, that ice, Paul. Exciting new research has revealed that by treating ice in a standard conventional oven set to 250 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 120 degrees Celsius, for just 15 to 20 minutes, will render it into a liquid form that can have an absolutely amazing effect on your mental and physical health. As a special offer to watchers of this channel, use promo code TOAST2TOAST when turning on a faucet to get some liquid ice, which is now available in hot or cold flavors. And you can get it for a very low introductory price. Now, this price may vary based on region and the volume of liquid ice order. Liquid ice.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is big business, Paul. I'm really excited about this one. Yeah, I think this is
potentially. We've had some big sponsors. This is serious.
You know, I don't want to disparage mugs or pants, but I think liquid ice is really going to be the thing that puts this show on the map.
I have solid ice here today.
Yeah.
I hear now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like I know, and you know, we're not doctors. You and I are not doctors, right? We're not medical professionals.
No, I make no claim to be a medical professional.
But it is my understanding that doctors now recommend up to 8 glasses of this said liquid ice.
Yes,
every
a
year.
Day.
What?
Every
year.
Oh no, it's 8 glasses a day.
Oh,
so
I'm doing something very wrong.
Now here's the thing. Apparently, coffee is mostly composed of liquid ice. So I guess that, you know, I'm gonna have to check my numbers on this, but I think that counts. So as long as you're drinking 8 cups of coffee a day,
then I'm well over my quota. Then we're good.
You and I are good.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Also,
yes,
in honor of today's guest, I am drinking Devil's Cut Jim Beam.
Perfect.
Which is
you mean now the guest
35% alcohol? Guess what the other 55% is?
Liquid ice.
Well, I mean, you know, there's some, you know, like 1 or 2% other things, but like still over half liquid ice. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible.
You mean now guest on the Art Bell guest?
Yes. Sorry. Yes. This is the and his for people who missed last time. He had a dream where the face of the devil appeared in the door. Except it was scary, I believe. I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, imagine the devil's face, but it's scary. He even had like a goatee, and that's
right.
Brought him
the face of evil, and we had
the face of evil. I can't off the top of my head remember the gentleman's name though. Michael K. Brown, right? Michael something Brown.
Michael H. Brown. It's actually on screen now, but it's probably too small for you to read.
Yeah.
Over in your. But hold on, we have Timothy with another super chat, insisting that no doctors, which I'm assuming that is doctors like Mrs. DRS doctors, no longer say that. Not quite an urban myth, but debunked. Well, okay.
I have actually heard that too. That you're not actually, you know, it's basically drink as much water as you want.
All right. Well, I still think the average doctor would be shocked and alarmed at the lack of water that I typically.
Oh yeah, there's no. No, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. We drink liquid ice on this show.
Right, liquid ice. Pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
You can copyright it like Kleenex. It's like got it. Yeah. Okay, but here, I'm
just excited. I got to say flim flam in a.
So the guest on the show was Michael H. Brown. Mm-hmm. Again, those who watch my main channel, not Michael L. Brown, the other Michael Brown that I'm in a fight with, who has responded and fired back, and I'm going to be
Yes,
shooting back at him. This is
which
Michael H. Brown.
you went through pains to
We're not going
separate
to.
the two. If people aren't sure, go back and watch that first stream. Yeah.
This is a different Michael Brown, and you'll see it there on the show notes that this is from March 17th, 1995, and that Michael Brown was the author of several books regarding end times type situations.
And a lot of other, he was like, because he was an investigative journalist, like a very serious investigative journalist, and like had gone undercover in the mafia and done like.
And he wrote a book on evolution, oddly, like in support of evolution. So there was a bunch of there's weird things.
But then he saw a devil face, and here we are.
So we're gonna catch. Hopefully, Dave will. You don't need to have seen last time's episode to catch up. We barely got scratched the surface.
Here, let me give you the synopsis. We introduce this person. We talk about how it's not the person Paul is currently feuding with. Mm-hmm. We talk about how excited we are that Willow is coming out on Disney Plus, which we can now talk about how disappointed we are in that show. We read a lot of super chats about dreams, and this man talks for about 5 minutes, and then we were both tired and went to bed. The end.
Okay. So good synopsis.
Feel free if I missed something, let me know. Oh, did we put the bingo link anywhere for folks?
So I put the bingo link in the chat. Unfortunately, it's not in the description. Hopefully that bingo link, everyone can see that there. I'll put it in the chat again. So Dave's bingo card is on.
Yeah.
Is number 7 there? Oh no, I guess we both have. How do we have the same card?
That's. I don't know.
Let me try. Let me see if what a refresh will get me here. You're not sharing my card, are you?
I can't see your card. Well, okay. Let's go back to.
Oh, I got a different card now. We're good.
Different? Okay.
Somehow I had your card. Hopefully the link I was sharing wasn't. It doesn't lend people straight to your card, right? That's not how it works.
Yeah. Both of us can already click off our. I mean, I assume you've had at least a drink already.
Yeah. All right. So if you don't, Apologia put a link in the chat. If you don't see that, then you can actually see the link on the screen right now. I know that's not a lot of fun to type in, but you could. All right. So you have a bingo card. I have a bingo card, so I'm marking off, have a drink. And so I have psychic abilities, cryptids, HARP, artificial moon, Nazis, alternate realities, God, Satan, crop circles, chemtrails, legitimate government agency. I'm gonna have to go through these as we go, but I've got this. This is a promising looking card. Angels I got in the corner.
Is there anything on your card you don't understand?
Well, the HAARP, I still don't remember what I always forget what that is.
They call it HARP. I very much thought it was going to come up. That's a military base in Alaska that.
Oh, okay.
Does radio signal stuff. Yeah.
It's not like. I always think of the retired person group, but
that's just the AARP or the Irish beer.
Yeah, exactly. All right, the rest of them I think I got. So let's get going. Are you ready, Dave? Let's get going to the episode. I am ready. So I backed it up to what I believe will be 1 minute of overlap.
Sorry?
Who and what now?
I said you got God and Satan on your card?
Oh, I do.
That's rough. It's rough for me.
Okay. So off we go.
Okay.
Of unprecedented proportion, whether in California or on the East Coast here or wherever. I even look at this earthquake in Kobe, Japan. The name Kobe means the doorway of God in Japan.
How's the audio level for Dave and for everyone? Good for you, Dave?
It sounds good for me.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. And just we're about to hit the moment of last time.
5,000 were killed, and you start to wonder, is God trying to tap us on the shoulder before stronger medicine?
It's a very good question, and I must say that a lot of us who are not gifted prophets still feel something, and there are a lot of people out in the audience who have this general sense of unease that something big is coming soon.
I see that everywhere. We see that. I do a lot of research cross-denominationally, in not just the Catholic realm, but also the Protestant realm, and I've interviewed Jews, and I've interviewed all kinds of different people, and there is a common thread. There is this feeling, this unsettled feeling that...
We had that mild anti-Semitism last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still just laughing at the because this was in the 90s, wasn't this episode?
1995, yeah.
Yeah, how cute. Like, oh boy,
Right.
something bad's on the horizon. Something that's like, oh yeah. I remember
This
the
is
last time
practically-
they were talking about MTV as if that was in some way. It's like, oh, you poor sweet boy.
This is practically good old days at this point.
something is going to give soon, or a series of events are going to give soon. A lot of us are kind of waiting, perhaps a little bit too obsessively, about one major event like an asteroid or the big one in California or a tidal wave somewhere.
But something.
But I think that we're going to see a lot of regional events of perhaps unprecedented proportion in the coming years and decades, all leading up to some type of high point event. And we can discuss that later if you want. But
yes, indeed. A lot of the prophets I talk to, again, and I talk...
This guy's the worst fucking prophecy ever.
Yep.
Stuff's going to happen over the next few years or decades, leading to an event.
But Dave, there will be regional events.
Regional events, yeah.
There will be regional
leading
events.
to some kind of...
Will lead up to a big event.
A big event, yeah.
COVID was a big event.
It was a big event, and there definitely were regional events before that.
Yeah, so maybe.
A tidal wave, for example, in Japan. Big deal. Knocked out a nuclear power station.
Sure.
Still causing problems. Yeah. So
to many of them.
Michael Brown is,
he's on it.
He's making a
This is
believer.
the kind of... See, here's the people who follow me on my channels. They know that I like prophecies to be quite specific if I'm going to take them seriously as being fulfilled. And we're about to hear Art just shoot that all to hell.
Seem to suggest that prophecy is not a done deal. Scallion said it, others have said it, that there are many possible courses or roads that we could, or realities or dimensions, or however you want to phrase it, that we can move down, and that we don't have to move down the one toward the big disaster.
That's true. We believe that.
Okay, so I'm going to make this big prophecy.
Yeah.
But if we do something about it,
yeah,
that prophecy won't happen.
Yeah.
So what the hell was it for?
Well, I mean, ideally, I guess if you're a good prophecy, that's the point of it. I guess this gets into an interesting conversation, which we can have or not have. Is the point of prophecy? So I've often heard prophecy in a biblical sense.
Mm-hmm.
Back in Bible school or wherever, talked about how it's like it's not there to. Because you'd ask, like, why is the prophecy in Revelation so wacky or vague?
Yeah.
Or what? It's like, well, it's not there to warn you ahead of time. It's to reveal God's glory after it's gone back, and you'd be like, oh, well, they said this was going to happen and blah, blah, blah. And now look at it. So it's going to happen, and it's not there to let you know or save lives or let you avoid whatever thing the prophecy is talking about. It's that when it's all said and done, we'll all see that God was right the whole time.
Yes, that is not surprising, since we came out of similar traditions. That would be similar to mine. The other point, the other half of it would be that's for eschatology. That's future prophecy.
Yeah.
The other point of prophecy is for us now to look back at things that were prophesied and that people who believe in the Bible would say have already been fulfilled, and for it to be prophecies like the main primary, for some people it's the main primary guarantor. That's how you know that it's true and divine, is that, well, these things were foretold, and then they happened. So that's how we know that the Bible is true and real.
Right.
I have all kinds of problems with that, as you know, in that I don't think these things specifically were fulfilled, and or that that the events that are purported to fulfill the things necessarily happened. You know, that we can't. So anyway, I like my prophecy just to be quite. If I'm going to use it as a guarantee that something is divine or supernatural or whatever, then I kind of like it to be specific and to actually happen. If we're talking about this kind of prophecy that Art and Mr. Brown here are talking about, where I'm going to put forth a ominous warning, which may or may not ever happen if we can avoid it, then I guess we avoided the ominous bad thing, but it's not really evidentially useful to demonstrate supernatural. Would you agree with that? Is that fair?
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the Michael Brown and the Verge also where he was like, well, but just because the prophecy didn't come true here doesn't mean it didn't come true in some other timeline.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's
really,
correct.
every prophecy is true everywhere.
That's right. So yeah. So if I prophesy
Yeah.
that by the end of this episode, a live chicken will appear on either your camera or my camera,
Yeah.
but not necessarily in our timeline, but in one of the timelines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be tough to disprove.
If we were smart and planned stuff out ahead of time, I would have a live chicken here in an hour and a half. The chicken would come out. We'd have a very mystery.
You don't have
so
your hometown doesn't have some kind of an Uber Eats for live chickens?
Not they don't operate at this time of night, unfortunately. It's too late. It's too late. Whereas it's a small city, we don't
Livestock Uber Eats.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I know some Hutterites I could call that could probably get me a chicken if the money was right. Well,
all right, off we go.
Off we go.
We're now into new material.
That from the Catholic perspective also. We're told that. Now, I know that there are a lot of non-Catholics who have all kinds of misgivings about apparitions that we claim come from the Virgin Mary. And I understand some of their complaints and considerations and so forth. But I've been to a lot of these places from, like you said, the former Soviet Union to Medjugorje to South America. And at some of these places, the Virgin Mary gives secrets that seem to pertain to future events. And sometimes she directly prophesies. And this is what she says. This is exactly what she says, that these are events that will come if we continue what we're doing now. There's always that if. They're conditional prophecies. They can
Is he talking about the
changed.
Virgin Mary, or is he talking about Jacob Morley? Because that sounds a lot like Jacob Morley.
Yeah.
You know, this man is an expert, and I don't want to, tell tales out of school and make it sound like he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think he was getting his books mixed up.
He watched The Christmas Carol one time. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Changed, just like in the Bible, prophecies could be changed. When Jonah warned Nineveh, it was if Nineveh did not repent, it would be destroyed. And Nineveh, at least initially, did repent and wasn't destroyed. I think we're at the...
It wasn't a prophecy, that was a warning. That's what we call those warnings.
Yeah.
It's like the climate change prophecies, I guess, in his...
It's the prophecy of if you kick down the door to a police station holding a rifle.
I wonder if a sports book would take any of these prophecies. Okay, here's the deal. If the Rams score the most points, carry with me, if the Rams score the most points,
the Rams score 9.5
win.
points. And lo, I was bestowed 2.5 talents from my initial talents, as was written.
at the same place right now. Not
yes,
so much
although as I look at our present direction, I see no change of course yet. It looks like we're headed straight down the highway to doom.
and more so Europe and other parts of the world, even in the United States. But it's really becoming flagrant here, and we better shift course, or I think the Lord is going to shift course for us.
You also wrote, whether you're a believer or disbeliever, Catholic or Protestant, Gentile or Jew, you're about to enter a series of unearthly...
That's a full list of the possibilities.
Yeah. I just realized I should probably start paying attention to my bingo card, at least somewhat here. I don't think anything's really come up. Well, as I mentioned...
I got God here, because he just mentioned that God was going to change course.
Did he mention Jesus? I don't think he did.
Oh, I feel like I got alternate realities, because he talked about that this prophecy might happen.
He talked about it last week.
We're not. It wasn't this time, because he was
whatever. You can have alternate realities, because I think that's a tough one to get. That's if he did talk about it.
Yeah. Do you have anyone's else to update on your card? Then,
well, I mean, he's talked about Jesus a number of times.
I think you can have Jesus. I think you're good there.
You can have alternate realities. I can have Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. All right. And I hope you at home are updating your own bingo cards. As you know.
Did his crazy Satan dream count as a near-death experience? No, he wasn't dead. He was just sleeping.
No, it's my understanding, based on if we go back and look at the show notes here, that I see NDE cases in the show notes. So that's possibly coming up.
If we shut up our mouths and let him get onto it.
Every show, Dave, I have a fancy new button. This time I got show notes.
Yay!
Yep.
Also, I feel like there's a lot of, depending how far you stretch it, I have magic, but like real magic on my card that I feel really could come up an awful lot.
It could be coming up. All right.
Also, mythological creatures discussed as scientific fact. I mean, the Virgin Mary, depends where you fall on that argument. It doesn't go with the spirit of it, though. It's not.
I feel like she's more just like a character, a legendary character, as opposed to. I think
that's meant to be like
the word creature there is meant to imply a species.
Loch Ness or something like that.
All right.
Unearthly events, call them alleged events, unlike any reported in 2,000 years. Now, there's always a lot of jitters, I guess, when centuries turn the page. And, I forget what they call it, millennium madness, I think.
Yeah.
So how much of what's going on right now do you think is that? How much is really a problem headed toward 2000 here?
Well, a lot of it is millennial madness. A lot of it is psychological. I don't associate it with the year 2000 so much as a change of era that could occur after the year 2000 or before. It could occur tomorrow, for all we know.
He's the best prophet I've ever heard.
Yeah. This is like, if this guy is a weatherman, he would be fired. Well, I think it'll rain, or maybe it won't.
No, Dave. It definitely will rain. Either by the weekend or after the weekend,
or both, or sometime after.
Right?
Yeah.
We have to be careful because these are human time frames, and things don't work like that in the supernatural. If you hear a prophecy that gives specific dates, usually it turns out to be a joke, something wrong, kind of a deception. And so I don't put too much stock in the year 2000, but I do believe that in the next few years or few decades, we are really going to see some enormous events, unless...
Oddly, the prophecy now that he has made is that Y2K is not going to be too big a deal.
Yeah. That's Y2K to mention. I'm throwing it on my card.
Oh, it's on your card? Dagnabbit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in top middle.
Fair enough.
Unless things change very rapidly.
All right. You actually went to the physical locations and investigated some of these events regarding the Virgin Mary that the rest of us, Michael, have only heard rumors and talk and stories about. Was it real?
Medjugorje in former Yugoslavia is real. and I've been there 4 times now.
How can you say that? Why do you say that? What did you see that convinced you?
Well, I got to say, too, when I first arrived at this place, where it said the Virgin Mary has been appearing to 6 young people since 1981, since June of 81, I thought it was a case of collective hysteria for the first few hours I was there. Matter of fact, I was disgusted at myself for flying all that way. But before I left 5 or 6 days later, it was the most incredible experience of my life. And it's the feeling of peace there. You feel like you're not on the planet Earth. It's somewhere between here and heaven. This tranquility, the power of God. I saw the sun do stuff that I didn't think the sun could do. I realized this is kind of a supernatural phenomenon, because the sun certainly couldn't have been doing this, or else everybody on Earth would have seen it. But it was throwing off colors and pulsing, and there was a disc that moved in front of it. And
a disc?
Like a disc that, not a UFO or anything, but just something that seemed to be shielding the sunlight, so you could stare at the sun for 10 minutes without blinking, and without seeing sunspots. And
I like that he got right ahead Art on that one, just straight up. This definitely wasn't a UFO. Let's just, we don't need to talk about that. But, it was just a flying disc that got in the way of the sun.
For those who don't know, Art gets most excited if he can tie whatever the topic is to aliens.
He loves his aliens. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to take I don't think I get the Roswell card for that one yet, though.
No, because UFO, there is an actual. Oh, I have UFO. Well, hey, there you go. He mentioned it right there. I got to start
racking up the points.
Well, I'm only one ahead of you right now.
Sunspots. At one point, in association with Medjugorje, I saw these reddish, purplish hearts floating across my field of vision, and just I saw other aerial phenomena while I was there, not UFOs, but rather more like the signs and wonders described in the New Testament, and I think really the most impressive.
Now, do I get ancient prophecies? Is New Testament ancient enough to be a signs and wonder?
Sure. Yep.
It's 2,000 years. That's pretty ancient.
That's pretty ancient. I'd call that. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
The most impressive thing was just this feeling in your heart of peace. Here you are in the stony hinterlands of Yugoslavia, with nothing around, with no pools, with no TV, with no air conditioning, a lot of times with no heat if you're there during the cold months, and you didn't want to leave. And a peasant village that's right out of pre-World War II. And where people still used horse and buggy or horses to cart around the firewood.
When you ask yourself,
pre-World War II, as if that's in any way, it was pre-World War II village. Like what? What? I live in one of the least old countries in the world, and all of our villages date back to pre-World War II.
You can probably buy pre-World War II alcohol. Like there's probably stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You ever experimented with psychedelics, Paul? You ever chased the mushroom dragon? Because kind of some of the stuff this guy's describing sounds. Well, let's leave that topic for another day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did I really see?
I do think this is starting to verge into the magic, but like real magic.
Yeah. I hope we get past this, because this is a little bit dry compared to where I hope this is all going. So
yeah.
Did I see what I wanted to see? How do you answer it?
Well, by going back again, I guess, and that's what I did 3 other times.
3 other times.
3 other times.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Good morning, everybody. If you are just joining us at this hour, we are discussing the final hour, not of this program, but of mankind, I guess. Final hour. My guest is Michael Brown. He is a Catholic. He is was a secular investigative.
That obviously was an ad break there.
Yeah.
It's too bad we didn't get to that point last time. That would have been a great intro.
Yep.
Oh well.
And we could have blasted through some of that at the end of the other.
Oh well.
Journalist. He broke the Love Canal story. He wrote a book on the mafia. He's done lots and lots of secular journalistic work. And now he's writing books and reporting on spiritual events that are going on all over the world, particularly in the last and next decades. And we'll get back to them in just a moment. It is a fascinating subject, certainly, and I've got a fax here with regard to witchcraft. We'll get to that in just.
We're just. I got the expert on.
Stop
the show.
Okay, I'm gonna make.
Stop the show.
Yeah.
Someone sent in a fax about witchcraft. Like, how random is that?
I gotta add to the Art Bell bingo. Art has a fax, because this has come up a number of times where he has some fax that.
But this is so. Yeah. So in 1995, getting a fax on the Art Bell show is essentially the same as a super chat on this show. So when we get a super chat, we just stop it all, and we talk about that. That's if you want to interrupt our show, that's a good way for you to do it. Apparently, in 1995, if you sent in a fax, same thing. Just whatever's on your mind disrupts.
Yeah. Just whatever thing you got going on.
But what about witchcraft?
What about witchcraft?
All right, well, let's hear the facts about the witchcraft.
All right, back now to Michael in Albany, New York. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Here's a fact. And by the way, anybody wanting to send in a question for Michael, my fax number is area code 702-727-8499. 702-727-8499. Art.
I hope that fax number is still in service and that someone out there in our audience is preparing a fax even now.
As a fax machine?
I think probably as a responsible show host, I'm probably responsible. Don't fax that number, I guess.
Yeah, you're terrible. We're gonna get sued.
Yeah, don't fax.
Yeah.
Wink.
In the immortal words of Marcia Clark, I object. You have an interesting guest. I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of what he has to say, but he is a rather confused person about witches. Speaking as a practitioner of modern witchcraft, Wicca, witches do not worship Satan. Satan is a Christian heresy and very much part of the Christian theology. Wicca is not a Christian religion, and to us, Satan is simply a fictional character from someone else's literature. For a witch to worship Satan or use satanic symbols makes as much sense as would you worshiping Captain Marvel, Superman, or the Incredible Hulk. That's Paul down in Phoenix.
Paul makes a good point. I actually know people who consider themselves Wiccans, and that is in line with my understanding. You?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it's absolutely true.
There's probably some Wiccans in our audience right now who could confirm or deny.
No, it's not. Wicca is not Satanism.
No.
Right? It's.
But I got to check off my Satan box, so I pulled ahead.
You pulled it. Oh, there you go.
Yep.
I got AB Loves Crafting is pulling hard for me in the. He's making a case for my numerology spot. He's making a case for magic, but like real magic. He's fully invested in me filling my bingo card out.
Fax numbers are not numerology.
No, sadly, sadly not. Yeah. Also, I want to say I'm getting ripped off by this Monday night show. Because I have on my card, as you can see in the bottom row, Shannon is in chat drunk, which on a Friday night is a slam dunk. That's a free space.
Correct.
On a work night, Shannon being a responsible adult with adult responsibilities, you got better things to do than stumbling in here late at night.
That's correct. For those who don't know, in the time zone where Shannon and I live, it is already Tuesday. We're deep into Tuesday, in fact, at this point. So, Shannon is
it's toast AM.
Probably not awake any longer, but we'll.
Yeah, I hope not.
And certainly not imbibing anything new.
Maybe some liquid ice.
Hopefully.
May I respond to that?
Yeah, sure. Respond any way you want.
I would really draw a differentiation between Hulk, a comic strip character, and this tremendously nefarious force who is a real force in the world and in our lives, and also can cause a lot of supernatural phenomena. With witches...
I'm going to give you magic, but real magic on that. I feel like he just said, no, it's not like this pretended garbage. I think
Not this Captain Marvel, Incredible Hulk nonsense.
Satan is a real evil force, apparently.
Causing supernatural phenomena all over the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Most people practicing Wicca or witchcraft are not evil people, but I believe that and excuse me for sounding pretentious when I refer to things like
there are good people on both sides, Dave.
Yeah. but the really evil ones are witches. Yeah. Not all of them, but you know. But not
as I did in the previous half hour, but it's a deception, and that's where the confusion is. You see, witchcraft does relate to demonic activity. It goes back to ancient Babylon. It goes back to Neanderthal times in Europe when they had pantheism and worship of horned-headed creatures and so forth, representations on old cave walls, or at least relics soon after the Cro-Magnon man, I should say, not Neanderthal. And
wait, did he say Cro-Magnon like it was filet mignon?
Yeah, yes. This was Julia Childs preparing her famous Cro-Magnon. Bon appetit.
And then it came through history, through ancient Babylon.
Also, I love it's just like every pre-Christian religion. That's just all witchcraft.
That's all.
Just look, it dates back to pre-Jesus when it was all that's what witchcraft is. All of it. Yeah.
Through these strange gods and goddesses, and it came through Egypt in the time.
The strange gods and goddesses, unlike our regular, well-known, sane ones that we have now. I hit the wrong button.
Germany, the secret societies that took a foothold even here in America, and now we call it witchcraft and the New Age movement or the occult and so forth. And I believe that a lot of it taps into a real supernatural force, but it's a force from the dark side that causes tremendous spiritual blindness so that they don't see the devil, so that they don't see the working of actual demonic entities. And I strongly suggest that they get away from that quick.
That was quite the dots connected there. Old pantheistic religion to Egypt to German secret societies to New Age to, I assume he was referring to like the Masons, and that's what it's all witchcraft. Yeah.
Do I get to check it off if you said Masons?
I mean, I think you feel like Germanic secret societies that moved to the New World. It's pretty clear what he's talking about. He's not talking about the Salvation Army. So, yeah.
Also, I noticed that I also have numerology. So if numerology comes up, we're both winners there.
We're both winners. We're both winners, anyways, Paul.
It's true.
Except when it comes to bingo, in which case I'm the winner and you suck. At least that's what I'm prophesying.
That's right.
Yeah. And if I don't win here tonight,
it would be in another timeline. You definitely are the winner.
Somewhere there's a Dave who didn't suck.
Let's put that on a card for your mom at Christmas.
Well, take comfort knowing that in a potentially infinite universe of infinite possibilities, somewhere there's a timeline where there's a Dave that didn't suck. And my birthday's a while
while we're on the subject of getting away from it quick, one thing did once scare me. Somebody had delivered to me anonymously an old, even ancient, Michael, Ouija board. When I used to work in Las Vegas up at the radio station, it was delivered to me. And it looked a zillion years old, and I guess it was. And some strange things happened associated with that Ouija board, and I didn't even play with the damn thing. What do you have to say about Ouija boards? Are they an invitation to the dark side?
Well, it's like taking a bullhorn into downtown New York City to Times Square and saying, "Hi out there, anyone who wants to come into my parlor is welcome." I mean, would you do that? That's what you're doing in the spiritual realm with a Ouija board. You're saying, whoever wants to come through, come on in. And guess who's going to come in first? You have to be careful with that, with tarot.
I had that exact lecture given to me when I played with the Ouija board as a child with some friends. Yeah. It was, yeah, you know who's gonna answer, and you're just welcoming them in. Yeah.
That's funny.
I remember that Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Mm-hmm.
Where he sings some song when he's still in high school, and he sings a song called "I Want to Hold Your Hands." And the town preacher comes up to him, was like, "You know who's got hands? The devil." And he uses them for holding. I love that line. Yeah.
I was too good a kid to ever play with the Ouija board. I knew that was bad news, and so. All right.
Cards with astrology and so forth, because these are all things that are mentioned even biblically as being extremely dangerous and putting you in touch with wizards and witches and the dark side. And again, I don't want to insult any of your listenership, but you have to be very careful with this stuff. I've seen phenomena with the Ouija board. I used to investigate that type of thing to see if there was anything behind it. I've been in the rooms when they turn stone cold all of a sudden, and everyone gets prickly skin, and it's a big thrill and everything, and these messages come through the board. But who's sending these messages? What are the fruits? What happens to people who fool around with this stuff? And the answer is that often...
Nothing. The answer is often nothing.
They get TV shows on the History Network. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get into a lot of trouble, and if you want to look at actual cases of possession, you'll be amazed how many of those cases started out with tarot cards or Ouija boards. You'll be amazed because, again, you're inviting something in that you don't understand.
Mm. It's also amazing that no atheists become demon possessed.
That's because even demons have some standards, Paul.
That's right. That's right. Sorry. Even amongst the atheists are the least popular. It's the least popular demographic in America, and even among the demons. Yeah. Even among the ooh.
Hey. Good night, folks.
Another thing I don't understand, and I've struggled to understand, and I've done shows on it for years, UFOs. I finally saw one myself, Michael.
Look, you told me twice this isn't UFOs, but I'm not. You can't stop Art Bell with your "this isn't UFOs."
But I checked the sign outside, and it didn't say the Michael Brown Show. So guess what? Fuck you. We're talking about UFOs.
Serious experience. Close in, something just floated above me, a big triangular craft of some kind. I won't go into all the details, but it scared the hell out of me. And it was either technology that we have developed and surely know nothing about, or it was from somewhere else, or I don't know. I don't know what it was. To this day, I don't know what I saw.
So many people, of course, so as you know, millions of people have had these experiences, and I want to start out by saying that I hope I have an open mind in some regards, and
I'm just going to predict. I'm going to make a prediction, a prophecy here.
Yes.
UFOs. This is a common apologetic. UFOs are demons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I pretty much have the cut of this man's jib pretty down, and I feel like a lot of things are going to be demons. Yeah. I also enjoy I like to think I have an open mind about some things. Well, it sounds like you maybe don't have an open mind. Some of my best friends are open minds.
Don't discount the possibility that a small percentage of these are extraterrestrial, but I'll say that I've seen tremendous indication that it's more of a spiritual phenomena than a physical phenomena. In other words, something from another dimension as opposed to another.
I think my prophecy level at this point is better than his, but
yeah, well,
came true.
Time will tell. You're just in the right timeline. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
Planet, and we have to once again. We
don't
have
think I don't
to be
see that
careful
nation
of the
people
dark
are
side.
doing
We're
not
told
bad.
in the Bible that Satan will send lying wonders in the air. Wonders in the air we're warned about biblically, as well as through some of these Marian prophecies. And we look. I think that there was one study that indicates as many as 8 million Americans are claiming sometime in their lives to have been abducted by UFO-nauts.
That's right.
And I think if you look at the description...
Art's excited about this.
8 million.
Yeah.
At the time, there would have been around 300 million in the States, I would say. So, like 3%, like 2.5% of Americans are getting abducted. That's a lot.
How many was it? 400 million? The population?
No, I think like in '95 it would have been around 300.
Yeah, I guess we could look it up and see. That seems a scooch high. That does seem like if it was something that was true,
right? It's like anyway, even if it's
the USA in 1995. Let's see what the old Google machine says. Oh, in 1995, the population of the United States of America was 266 million.
Okay, and 8 million.
Yeah, you're the math magician. You
8 million were getting abducted. So we got 266.
Also, this definitely is numerology now.
That's right. So that's no. I was so it was. My number was right. It was 3%. 3% of Americans.
Yeah. So 3 out of every 100 Americans
are getting kidnapped by aliens.
Yeah.
And no one says nothing about that. Actually, well, obviously Art was.
Yeah. Those 8 million people were. But you know who's suppressing it? The church.
Writing it off as spiritual demons.
We don't need Rome telling us how to handle UFO abductions. Dirty papists.
That they're classic. It's classic demonology. These are entities that have the slanted eyes. They're little. They're mean-looking. They leave bad effects. They leave bad odor times.
True.
And they come through. They can go through the wall.
I just swear I was really worried when he said slanted eyes that was going to go sideways.
Let me tell you who the real threat is.
I'm glad it didn't, but really, that's not the opening lead on Alien Description. Is not slanty-eyed.
Yeah.
Wall. They haunt you the rest of your lives. It's not like a craft landing from some other planetary system and visiting you once, taking a sample, and then heading back for home. But rather, it's an ongoing spiritual phenomenon. And therefore, I think that it's part of this supernatural episode. I think that we are seeing, Art, actual manifestation and materialization of forces of good and evil in direct combat. And we're on that battleground. We're in the middle of that crossfire right now. And that's why there's a tremendous interest right now among the American people in this phenomena because they're seeing it. 79% of the American people believe in miracles, according to the Gallup survey last December.
Yes, sir.
And that's because they...
It's much lower now. Not that they could have predicted that.
Because they're terrible prophets.
That's right.
Are seeing things like this. Some people are seeing UFOs like you did. Some people are going to Medjugorje like I did. Some people are having experiences with angels. Other people are having dreams or are noticing that weird things happen with Ouija boards.
But, Michael, yours was clearly spiritual. Mine was such a gray area. I saw a craft, something that almost could not have been of this earth. And so I'm left wondering, out in the middle of nowhere, what it was. But your experience was kind of spiritual and seemed very clear.
I
see Timothy Harmon is winding you up in Super
Timothy,
Chat.
I'm not reading this one. Dave?
Evil as a noun. example, right?
Oh, wait, evil as a noun. I'm okay with that because he was pointing out that they were using you. I thought I misread it as evil is a noun.
Is a noun. That's what I thought it was too. I thought he was
and was
straight
gonna
up
lose my shit. But yes, he was. That could be on the. I suppose that could be on the card for future shows.
Evil is a noun. Okay, that's a new mug you should make up.
Yeah, it is because I got my For the Bible Tells Me So mug here today.
Exactly. You need to expand your merch options. Get your Etsy store going there.
That's right.
Paul.
I also love people.
I guess it's confirmation bias for everybody. It's like, so if you're art, all these things, it's like, well, it's if somebody has a thing where they think it's a demon, you're like, well, no, that was aliens or ghosts, another thing that art believes in, right? Like, or if you're this guy, it's like anytime you see UFO, no, it's demons. It's like we just have our things we believe in, and then everything that is an inexplicable thing is just a manifestation of that thing. So it all makes sense and it all falls in, and it's like it's just absolutely right.
That classic confirmation bias. Well done, Dave.
I'm a good skeptic.
Including a brother of mine who saw this craft pretty low in the sky, not too much higher than a house, go over his head. It was enormous one time years ago. And again, you think, gee, it seems mechanical, doesn't it? But you don't know with this type of phenomena. Again, maybe it was. How do I know what you saw? How do I know? I know from the type of person you are that you saw something. But I couldn't pretend to know and explain exactly what it is you saw or what a lot of people have seen. But I do know that the descriptions of quite a few of these cases reeks of spiritual phenomena.
All right. You investigated. I know you investigated.
All right.
Well, it's like also anytime you're using the word reeks in your reeks of spiritual phenomenon. Oh yeah, that just feels like maybe something that's tough to quantify, but carry on. Yeah.
So my
glass is empty. I need to go refill it.
So I have the exact same issue here on the. You go ahead. I will solo mission this.
You'll solo this, then okay. I will be right back.
Telekinesis, didn't you?
I did.
That phenomenon.
Right.
Is it real? I mean, are people able to move things or affect material things with their mind?
Well, they're certainly able. Yeah, I believe the short answer is yes, and the long answer, and I won't make it that long, is that
also yes.
I've been in laboratories where they did experiments with what they call random event generators and found out that people could divert the randomness of these machines against odds of up to...
No. Wait, what? So, randomness, well, I guess it's a quality that you can potentially measure, but you can affect the randomness of a machine with your mind is not... If numbers are random, then it would be very tricky to actually... I guess that's the way this paranormal stuff works, right? They pick the least quantifiable thing possible and say, well, they affected randomness, like there's a scale for randomness. Wow. So, I mean, I suppose if they made all the numbers be 2 for a while, that would be something. But, wow, I don't think that works.
Yes, what's the number 2?
So, he was able to be in the room, Dave, while some paranormal studies were happening. Think Ghostbusters.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where subjects were able to control the randomness of computers.
So, I assume this is... So, as somebody who has dabbled in computer science and programming, not, I've never made a career out of it, but I've done enough to know how bad computers are at random numbers.
Yeah, they're not good. It's their least favorite thing.
It's like the old, hey, if you ask a computer to generate a random number and it picks 3, start fucking betting on 3 every single spin because it's probably going to come up again and again and again because computers are designed to not be random, to be the opposite of random.
Exactly.
Right? You want the exact same outcome every time. So getting them to buck that is it's a real legitimate problem in computer programming, right?
Yeah.
If you do need to generate a random number, it's very hard to do. So,
Yeah. So
is that the effect he saw?
Yeah. So that was exactly it was. So the question was, well, have you seen anyone do telekinesis? Well, no, I haven't seen that, but I've seen people affect the randomness of computer-generated numbers, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
good job on that falsifiability that measure there.
Billion to one against chance. These atomic type machines are machines run on thermal noise. So there's a lot of evidence for that. But once again, you got to
wait. Did we in the 90s? Did we have machines that were run by thermal noise?
I know what he's talking about. I actually do. I remember this was a thing back in the 90s when I was taking computer science and going. They had basically boxes that would detect some particle from like cosmic particle.
Okay.
Coming through, right? And it would be like, because you have like, there's so many of these per second in whatever area, and I can't remember what the particle was, but it's like it's fairly easy to detect. And so that was a way that you could generate a random number when it's like take whatever snapshot of time and however many of these particles come through, because it's just however many of these particles are streaming through this particular area. It's not photons, it's not gamma. I can't remember what it is. We could Google it and see. But this was a real thing that there were these boxes that would detect that, and that was a way. It was a way, but it was also one of those things where it's like it tends to come and go in. It's not random. It's not really random, right? It's more like a gust of wind where it tends to get stronger or lesser, kind of like solar winds and following. So you will very definitely have trends where it's either very high for a period of time or low for a period of time, and kind of.
Gotcha.
But it was an attempt to find a way to generate random numbers in a computer.
That makes sense. I misheard or misunderstood or my confirm. Anyway, that literally like it didn't have a power supply plugged into the wall. That we were like literally powering computers with like static noise or something. But okay, fair enough.
I also have incorrect science used as evidence in my card, so I'm just going to go ahead and check that here, because affecting randomness of computers is
fair enough. Do we need to look at the board? How we doing? Oh, you pulled ahead again.
Yeah.
All right.
careful, because I used to think of it as just a scientific pursuit, another power of the mind, some kind of electrical dynamic coming from the brain.
Yes. Oh, he totally mentioned Egypt.
It often isn't. Often.
Who in the what now?
He mentioned Egypt before. I forgot. He specifically mentioned Egypt.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
So J Victor with a whatever currency is R. I don't know what the R current is. It a ruble, a Russian? I don't know what we.
What's the Chinese currency? Renminbi.
No, isn't it
showing
a
my
ren?
Westernness?
Anyway, but essentially $5. Thank you. You can buy thermal noise.
Yes, thank you very much, J Victor. Yeah.
For true, yeah.
Cool. Random number for your PC. Yep. See, that's what he's talking about. It is a real thing.
All right. Well, so it was a real thing, and I was just I wanted it to be ridiculous, so I misheard.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Again, often you got to be careful, because it can come from the dark side with a certain entity playing games with us. So just like games are played with UFOs and Ouija boards and everything else. So,
isn't there a danger, Michael, that coming from the Christian perspective, you would tend to perhaps miss something that is real and has a scientific explanation, and that you would miss it and tend to label it from the dark side?
Yeah, I mean
that's your point. Today's point.
And to be fair, he's like, yeah. Well, I guess we'll hear what he says, but it sounds like he's like, yeah, that's
I think that can happen. I think that anyone from any perspective is. None of us have the whole picture, and we are narrow in our own ways. And I probably have done that in cases. But I'll tell you, Art. I mean, when you're talking about something like the Ouija board, I've been there. I've seen it. I know what happens with that. It's not good.
For example, if extraterrestrial...
So props to that answer, though. I mean, that's at least... He was at least admitting some bias.
Yeah.
Potential. So, yay. I appreciate that.
Terrestrials.
Because he's not wrong. It is something that's like, yeah, it's probably something everybody does in their way, and it is something. It's it's the way our brains are wired, right? It's the.
He didn't go so far as to say he's attempting to come up with ways to check that amongst himself.
No, he straight up and said he's like, I've probably done it sometimes, but I mean, most of the time I'm right. I've definitely seen these things. Yeah, this is.
It's not a bias if I'm just right.
It's not. That's true.
Some would think as extraterrestrials were actually to ever land, and the door opens up, and the little green or gray guys or whatever they are walk out. I am convinced that enough Christians in this country would be absolutely convinced they were devils, that they'd be filled full of lead and they'd never make it to the bottom of the ramp.
Well, that might be.
Yeah, maybe. What was the Arthur C. Clarke show? Children, we talked about this before, the children of something.
Children of Rama?
Yeah. The one where there's like, the alien race comes, but they look like demons.
Oh,
It doesn't matter.
I can't remember, but
it
yes.
doesn't matter. Anyway, but also apparently Americans think you can shoot demons. That's what I learned from that sentence.
I mean, I 100% think that is probably true. Certainly in healthy swaths of the population.
That's right.
Yeah. Nothing's true for everybody, but I guarantee there's... Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I think I said that I don't discount the possibility of life on other planets. Matter of fact, it seems to me nearly absurd that Earth would be the only inhabited planet. But I hasten to add that when you have 8 million people claiming these experiences, that
something's happening.
Something's happening, but I don't think it's from outer space, because I think that there would
I don't believe in
if it was extraterrestrial and it affected 8 million people.
But when he doesn't, it's weird because he doesn't discount it.
No. Oh, that's the whole thing. It's like, this is absolutely true and happening, but what is happening is demonic.
Okay,
right.
So that's fair, because like there's lots of things where I would say someone, well, I believe you had that experience. I just think you're attributing it to something that
right
isn't real. Gotcha.
We would have seen a lot more of it. In other words, we would have had a lot more physical evidence.
There are many people predicting that there will be many beings, many craft, and many people talk about 1995, believe it or not, and the years between now and the year 2000 as having, I'm sure you've heard these rumors.
I certainly have.
One more very important thing I want to ask you about. I've had a zillion calls here about events going on in California, Oregon, up the coast, people picking up hitchhikers.
Oh, yeah.
And you know where I'm going with this, of course.
I wrote about it.
I don't. Do you know where he's going?
I mean, I hope that it's a hitchhiker ghost story, but I feel it's probably not.
That's for your bingo card. All right.
Yeah.
And
also, I should point out, Paul,
something
because I'm nice. Somebody has made who was it? Gritmonger saying I'm seeing psychic abilities that isn't crossed out, and it's not on my card, so I assume they're talking about yours. Because we've definitely been talking about.
Let me see
abilities.
where on mine. Oh, I do. I got it up in the corner. Look at me. Cool.
Get your psychic abilities on.
About the hitchhiker saying the horns are about to blow or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Gabriel's trumpet.
That's right.
That's why I call it my new book, The Trumpet of Gabriel.
Uh-huh.
Because I looked at that hitchhiker phenomenon.
And what do you conclude?
I don't know what is going on. You know, it's a classic case, whether it's California or the state of Maine or all across the country. People are claiming that, and I interviewed some people who actually picked up the hitchhiker.
Oh.
You know, and claimed to have picked up the hitchhiker, who, you know, says Gabriel, the trumpet is approaching Gabriel's lip, or Gabriel is lifting the trumpet to his lip, or Christ is coming soon, or whatever, and then, as you know, disappears from the back seat of a car.
Right.
And we have to remember that this type of hitchhiker phenomenon has been reported since the 1880s in this country. Back, it wasn't cars back then; it was the horse and.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, 1880s
Yeah.
is a little soon for cars, but okay.
And stories like this go back much farther than that in Europe. He's not wrong.
Where, okay, so like literally,
Where you
where
will pick
someone-
up, there will be somebody walking along the side of the road or whatever, and you pick them up, and then it's something like this happens, right?
But in this story, they just make a weird warning and then disappear.
Yeah, exactly like that, right?
Oh no,
Like,
yeah.
sort of the supernatural hitchhiker story is
Gotcha.
very, very, very old.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Carriage, but I can't fathom it. It's I don't know where it's coming from, but I do know that it's too widespread to be nothing.
When you interview people, how do you judge or try to judge their credibility? I mean, as they tell you a story, did these people seem credible to you? Did they seem kind of off the edge a little bit, religious fanatics, or maybe
well,
that?
you know, I'm sure you have listeners who consider me a religious fanatic, and in fact, 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I would have considered myself, looking at myself now, a religious fanatic. So I can understand certainly where they're coming from. And there certainly are people in any walk of life who go off the edge or who believe everything and anything. And it gets to be sometimes...
well, that's all right. I'm asking you whether those people were in that category, in your opinion.
Those people with the hitchhikers?
Yes, sir.
Not the ones I interviewed. No, but...
The ones I interviewed were the good ones.
The good ones. All right, some of my best friends have seen supernatural hitchhikers. They're the good ones.
You know, I can't speak for the others who are claiming this. Often it seems like a rehashed myth. In other words, often you can't get to the base of the rumor of these hitchhikers because they're really just inaccurately reporting a story they heard, you know, third hand from somebody who also heard it third hand. So it's often just a rumor. But there have been some cases that I believe are legitimate.
All right. Michael, hold on. We'll get back to you in just a moment. I'm about to open up the telephone lines. Dreams. Dreams were a big subject in the O.J. Simpson
Phone
trial. They
lines is
came
my
up, in
favorite
fact, with a
part.
witness again the other day, Michael, and your journey, the present form, was launched with a dream. Do you interpret dreams, or have you attempted to have yours interpreted?
I don't. I'm mainly confused by them. I don't pretend to have a lot of answers that I wish I did have. I will say that at the rose petals, there have been cases like in the Philippines where people have claimed to see the Virgin Mary, and to thousands of people claim to have seen rose petals that fell to the ground with images on them of Jesus or Mary and kind of Christian symbols. So I don't know if that's relevant at all, but I don't try to interpret dreams because it's just never worked for me, and it's something that I don't feel comfortable with.
All right, let's launch into the world of telephones here. See what we've got. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you.
Where are you? Where are you, sir?
I'm in Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, Oregon. All right.
Yeah, Michael, I wondered if you'd ever considered that. My own belief is that we create our own reality, and my own personal belief is that evil doesn't really exist except in our minds. And like people that you meet.
Oh boy. I gotta share some common ground with this guy from
Eugene, Oregon.
Oregon.
Eugene,
Oregon. Yep. All right.
Yep. Never been there. I hear it's
We're
a
all-
lovely city.
I have never been. Yeah. No. Yes, I have. I have been to Eugene, Oregon. I have.
There you go.
Capable of what we would consider evil acts, but we're innately good. There's nothing innately evil about us as people. And I believe the same is probably true of other spiritual entities. I've had experiences in out-of-body experiences, and I've had experiences that scared the heck out of me. I was with a positive attitude. I was always able to, overcome and go, move beyond.
All right. Well, it's a good question. Let's frame it this way. Evil, each one of us with individual evil possibilities within versus real evil. And you are convinced, Michael, there is real evil.
I am, and I think there are too many coincidences. Let's start with the word evil. What does it spell backwards? It spells the word live backwards.
Yes!
And I think that that's really a good definition of what evil is. It twists things around, turns them backwards. I think there's too much consistency, whether it's with Charles Manson and all of the symbols associated with him, or going back centuries before.
No. No. No.
Man can end, Paul. I think to really understand evil, you have to look at it. What is it backwards?
It's my understanding, Dave. Now, I'm no etymologist. I'm no linguist. Yeah. It seems to me that the word evil is an English word.
It is, yes. Yep.
Probably we stole it from the Slavic or Germanic language at some way along the line. Do we need to do?
I actually don't know. Let me look it up. What
are we doing? Etymology
from Middle English, evil or YFEL. It was a noun in Middle English.
Oh, I was right. It came from Germanic. Here we go.
Yeah. It's always hard to tell with English words because we have such a weird mix of.
Nevertheless,
it's Proto-West Germanic. So there you go. So like the old Proto-German, the language that. Yeah. Anyways, good, great.
So. Evil came to exist at some point in like the 900 AD. Is that what if that's how this works?
Well, if it's from Proto-Germanic, this would be going back to pre-written language in the German area if they're tracing it back to there. But yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay.
So that word would certainly predate Christianity. But it's specifically the German version is spelled very differently, has F's in it, and like it's
it's le vieux, le bout, according to this one I got on the screen here.
I do love the. I got to add that to the bingo too. People who use words, it's like people who don't understand the origin of words.
Even here, Dave, on the screen here says in Old English it was yetl.
Yeah.
So, like life wasn't gonna. All right.
Mm-hmm. It's like that. Remember that first one we listened to that guy that was all over the place, and he talked about how familiar spirits were named because they know everything about you, and it's like, no, it's from Latin for famulus, which means servant. It's nothing to do with. Anyways. Anyways.
So we've had.
This is one of my favorite things in the world. Yeah. People who throw shit like this as if it's some kind of actual explanation of anything.
All right. Well, J. Victor writes, the devil was the only one who truly lived.
Yeah.
And Timothy Harmon is apparently delighting in his home. Yes, evil as a noun.
Yes, yep.
It's the special way to torture Paul. All right. So, wow. Okay. Proof that evil exists, because if you spell it backwards, it also is a word. Is a word. Like, the connection was like tenuous as it was.
And the word is live, which I'm going to take as, I assume, life, and evil is the opposite of life somehow, and not, recorded music versus music played in front of an audience. I don't know.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Dave. What's the name of the channel that you are on right now?
I believe it's Pologia. Evil.
Okay. But that's my main channel.
Yeah.
What's the channel you're on now?
It's Pologia Evil.
That's
Live.
right.
Sorry. I keep forgetting the stream versus everything. So, yeah.
Apologia Live is there by some measure. Also, we're on Apology Evil. Welcome, everyone, to the Devil's
Hello,
Work.
everybody.
But the Devil's Work is not the same as witchcraft, lest you
Could
get
it
confused.
be Satan? Mm.
In future days, if this show continues, if people like the show, if people are tuning in, if we continue on this show, if you and I are still having a good time, I have a goal that eventually, as you know, I like to add a little bit of tech each time. Eventually, I want to have a tech that will do the voice changer, because I know that's a thing that streamers can do.
Yes,
and that we can get the Satan, that we can get some kind of red tint on the screen and the Satan voice.
And do it up. I know how to do a good Satan voice in effects. I can
perfect. Well, there we go. Then we can work on that for future episodes.
Is in Germany, or like
I'm absolutely adding the Dana Carvey. I'm building a library of good soundboard effects, and that's
yes, that's correct. Yes. Also, just so
we're getting behind. I don't think I ever shared my folder of those with you.
But I also asked you we have the ability now with our new tech again to possibly have some alerts that come up when we get new members.
So I've been like doing that, and I think I forgot to I have a folder full of WAV files that I've been preparing for that exact purpose, and I forgot to share it with you. But
you did. You totally forgot. Anyway, but
conversation another time. Nobody wants to hear.
Although if anyone in the chat has suggestions for super chat animations or members or that kind of thing,
people joining the channel, people super chatting, people. Yeah,
I'm becoming a real streamer, Dave.
Yes, you are. We're going to be on Twitch before you know it.
That's right.
Times in old Egypt, consistent symbols like the swastika that come through old Babylon right to the Nazis and the current day skinheads who do a lot of evil deeds.
I got Mesopotamia on my card.
Too much consistency.
I'm throwing old Babylon. Old Babylon to me is close enough to Mesopotamia. That's Mesopotamia.
I think so. I think you're good.
Yeah. Old swastikas from old Babylon through the dumbass. Yeah. Anyways,
what does legitimate government agency mean?
So that would be like the CIA or FBI or.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha.
Right. What's
non-ironically
the one that monitors community? Yeah. Right. That it's
the FCC or something. Yeah.
Yeah. No. The guys that listen to every phone call and.
CIA,
do you know what I'm talking
FBI? I don't know who you're talking about.
Someone in chat will know. There is a U.S. intelligence agency that's specifically for monitoring and securing communications, and
Gotcha.
Anyways,
to say, it's an artifact of our imagination. It's just a convenient way of explaining negativity, and that all we need is a positive frame of mind. I think your caller is right, that a positive way of looking at things can transcend a negative experience. We call positive.
What Michael threw up in chat there correct? Is that a purposeful anagram? I have to.
Yes, that is legitimately how Vice Rhino.
Okay, that's how it came. That's where it comes from. There you go.
That is the origin of that name.
I never knew that. That's actually hilarious. That's very good.
He went for the first year and a half or so of his channel, hoping someone would notice, and no one ever did. So eventually,
that's a bit of a stretch to think someone's going to just randomly oh hey, yeah. National Security NSA, yes, that's the.
Oh right, yes.
Frequent bad guys in movies.
All right.
Yeah. Anyways.
And I think with faith you can get above that. And I don't think that we should overly dwell on evil, but you do have to expose certain problems in order to find a remedy. And I think that saying that we construct our own reality, well, I mean, it's true to a certain extent. Through the way you act in life, you create your own reality. But I think you can go a little bit too far with that. There are certain things that exist. They're time-honored. Whether or not they're spoken of in Moses' time or in our own time, there are tremendous similarities in the spiritual realm. And
I'd legitimately forgotten what the caller was talking about.
Right. So that was where the caller called in, and he opened with, and it just two things. He said, like, yeah, evil doesn't exist, which I agree with. But then he was also like, we just make our own reality, which is I heavily disagree with. That reality,
and then jump right into I've had experiences with spirits and what you would define as evil is
So I'm finding myself in weird bedfellows with both of them because I'm with Dr. Brown here that reality is a thing. There's an external shared.
There is an objective reality that
I'm telling you right now that if the caller could have seen some of the things I've investigated, I don't think he'd have any doubt about the existence of an actual metaphysical force.
All right. Well, if that's true, then you mentioned Charlie Manson, and I've always thought he too. When you look at him, that man is evil. He's the embodiment of evil. There's no question about it. But then, should there not be a defense in the American justice system that basically says the devil made me do it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'll say this, that a lot of times when the devil's involved, or demons, because there's not just one. I used to think, well, okay, if there's a devil, what do I have to worry about? There's nearly 6 billion people on this planet. What are my chances of being the next Linda Blair? I wasn't really, I thought it was just kind of a freakish spirit. But in fact, that there's not just one spirit. There are millions of forces out there. And when you tap into those, through sin, when you draw them to you.
I don't know where he gets the number millions from.
Well, he's read Piercing the Darkness.
I don't know. I don't know that we've had a demon census exactly.
I'm laughing at measured constraints comments.
Uh-oh.
Evil must exist because we made a word for it. So, yeah, there you go.
And we even made a word that is the backwards of it. So, I was actually, for a second there, I was okay with Dr. Brown's theology there. For like, oh yeah, there is the Satan, Lucifer. If there is a single entity, then that he actually is not. He doesn't share the characteristics that he's omnipresent, right, or that he's all powerful. Right. He is limited in space and time. So it's actually not a bad bet. Like this. The chances of any individual person, even if the Christian theology is correct, being specifically taken under the wing of Satan himself, just as a straight-up numbers game, is relatively low.
Yes.
You're conducting your life, whether it's drugs, whether it's certain types of sexual activity, whether it's occultism, whatever it is, when you draw these forces into your life,
we all know he's talking about butt stuff. Oh yeah, he absolutely mentioned Nazis, Paul. You should look off your card. Yeah. He straight up mentioned Nazis.
Where's my Nazi thing?
And certain types of sexual
sexual activities.
Yeah.
We all know that that's the same as playing Ouija.
Yeah. We ain't talking about missionary position. They named it after missionaries, for crying out loud. What could be more wholesome than that? Why is butt stuff on the card? We all know why, Gritmonger.
Wait, did I put this? I did. I forget if I put it up on the screen. Anyway, Timothy, we acknowledged the SC.
We're getting
this negative super.
We're getting what?
All we need is one caller to bring up crop circles, Paul, and you got this thing. You got this thing in the bag.
Phenomena, and then you have to shake it.
Michael, as a matter of interest, how many times or how many cases of possession have there ever been of people who are not believers?
Well, I think that there's.
What I said.
I think there's a lot of cases of that. Whether they're strict atheists or not, I don't know.
Agnostics.
I think you could argue that a guy like Hitler was possessed. I think just calling him a politically evil person or a negative person who created his own reality, well, I mean, it's true to a certain extent. But if you look at the Nazis, you will find tremendous occultism in the background of those Nazis. They were practitioners of witchcraft, of astrology, and things of this nature. So there's a run.
All right, Dave, you want to talk about history for a minute?
Okay, so there was a thing called the Thule Society. Was in German, and there were several prominent Nazis that were members of it, and they were very into the occult. As it was and to be fair, there was a lot of people, especially between the world wars. It was a big thing: occultism, seances, all this thing. I think Himmler, if I remember, Hitler was absolutely not down with the occult, despite what modern movies would have you think. He was hard no, thought it was all nonsense and
bunkum, as it were.
Yeah, flim flam and hokum. There was, yeah, and pretty much all of the Nazi leadership, they were not down with like any kind of. It's become a modern conceit that this was, thanks to Indiana Jones and Hellboy and some of these things, that the Nazi Party was like big into occultism, and it's like, no, there were like one or two really prominent Nazis that were into occultism, in that they were into like Ouija boards and seances. They were not looking for the spear of destiny or whatever. Anyways, carry on.
Also, when were there were any atheists ever demon possessed, and he threw out just like two things that were wrong. Was like, well, Hitler was, first of all, Hitler was not classically demon possessed. Like there's nothing. Just anyone who does bad thing, does egregious things is not necessarily demon possessed. But also, I don't think Hitler was an atheist. So
no, he would certainly not have described himself.
No, he
was pro-religion. He was
pro-religion and definitely a theist, even if you don't want to say he was classically Christian. So
you could very much. I think you make it. I don't know what he believed personally. He definitely viewed religion as a way you could manipulate the masses. What he personally believed, it doesn't. I don't know if he.
Yeah,
I've never read anything where he was like, here's what I really think about religion, one way or the other. He didn't really talk about it in any way.
Yes, he was pragmatic on the tools. I get it, but yeah.
But like most people born, before 1900, he, like atheism wasn't a real big thing back then. And you would have found a lot of people who paid lip service to religion. What they actually believed is hard to say, especially after World War I, when there was a lot of quite bleak outlooks on life. But yeah, Hitler would definitely never have called himself an atheist.
No, exactly. So off we go.
Theme here that goes, I think, way beyond something that's just an artifact of our primitive imagination.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Denver.
Denver, all right.
And
it's not that east.
No, I was going to say that's pretty much at the Rockies, but okay.
Yeah.
I used to live up in Jackson, Wyoming, and I ran into a hitchhiker.
Oh, man. This file keeps cutting.
And I wouldn't call myself I hate to use the term Bible thumper, but I'm not. But I picked up a gentleman one day north.
But some of my good friends are Bible thumpers.
Yeah.
Jackson. He was he had very Christ-like features as far as his hair and face. He was wearing a white shirt, tan pants, and sandals. And I gave.
He had Christ-like features in his face, and he wore white shirts and sandals, Dave.
I'm trying to listen to this man's gripping story, Paul.
Ride up about 5 miles to the Jackson Airport. He didn't tell me any gloom and doom or anything. He was very quiet, but as I let him out at the airport, I said, do you have, what you need for you don't have any baggage. And he looked at me, and he had these really piercing blue eyes, and he said, I have everything I need right here. And in his hand, he was holding a Bible. And that was strange. I mean, I'm not...
Hitchhikers. All right, well, I certainly...
7 or 8 years ago.
I appreciate the story, sir. There's one for you.
And you hear that quite frequently.
He picked up like this comment. Yeah. He picked up a
First
hippie.
fucking hitchhiker story I've ever heard in my life. I have a better story than that. Hey, Joe Hill.
Joe Hill, new member, welcome. Fellas, a Monday night stream, just what I needed. Happy holidays to you.
Always good to see you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Oh. Yeah, that's a pretty bad hitchhiker story.
Yeah. And it said, I've got everything I need right here. It had a Bible. It's like, this sounds like just a guy that believed in the Bible.
Yeah.
The end. Yeah, he's like, he didn't really have any prophecies or doom or gloom messages, then left. You're like,
but also,
okay. Yeah. He did like Christ-like features.
Statistically, the number of male hitchhikers who have long hair is going to be way higher than male individuals.
Yeah.
And I know this is gender whatever, but yeah, in the larger in the general population, there'll be more long-haired
what he meant,
hitchhikers than
Paul, was he was a roughly 5 foot Middle Eastern man, right? With yeah.
Especially when they describe the eyes. Of course, it sounds like the classic descriptions of an manifestation of an angel or something of that type.
Angels are...
I am getting so close on multiple fronts here.
Did you get angel?
Angels up in the corner. Oh, but I'm not likely to get King Arthur here. I think that's...
Yeah, that's like, I also have King Arthur, which isn't going to happen.
All right,
and I'm also probably not going to get the Bible code.
My best bet is still crop circles. Here we go, crop circles.
Caller can bring up, crop circles.
When we're into callers, you never know.
You never know. That's
callers
the
and faxes.
Real?
Oh, I believe so, yes.
I've seen a lot of stories, Michael. They've had a lot of shows on about angels, guardian angels, that sort of thing. You believe in those?
I do. I believe they're all around, and I believe that that's the positive side of all this. You got to be careful that it's not a deception, whether from the imagination or from another realm. But I believe that this whole explosion of people with angel experiences is another aspect of the supernatural episode in progress, of spiritual warfare.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to stick to my story here. Over the years, I've done programs with a fellow named John Lear. He is the son of Bill Lear, who invented the Learjet. He is a ufologist. He studied UFOs for a long time, and...
A ufologist?
Ufologist. I haven't heard that term.
I've not heard that. I want to work that term into my vocabulary now.
Ufologist.
He has come in recent years to the spiritual side of the question with regard to UFOs, and he thinks, in fact, that they may be demonic in nature. And he said to me something once that I've never shaken, Michael. He said that he had good information and believed that when the choice comes, when you die, when you pass over to the other side, you should not go toward the light. He said the light is a trick. You should go toward the darkness. And I've never been able to shake that.
I don't know. I still would feel a little more.
I would be delighted to know what this good information is. What the...
But also, we don't know if that's good. How does he know that's good advice? Oh, I got a dog.
Hello, Bella.
Comfortable, I guess, with the light. If it's holy, I think what you should do is pray. When you there is so much phenomena going on that even these near-death experiences are fascinating, and I read them, and I think, like I said before, that
near-death experience, but it doesn't help me. My near-death experience on my card, but it's just like in the middle. It's nothing. Yeah.
a lot of them are valid, but others you have to be careful with because they start to get in a realm where they seem like some type of deception. So we have to be so careful in this realm. Some of the near-death experiences mimic the UFO experience.
Well, and then there's one other aspect that we haven't touched on yet with the near-death experiences. And they're not told, Michael, they're rarely told. But there are people who have near-death experiences that don't involve the light. They don't involve a good experience. In fact, just the opposite. They involve something very frightening, Michael.
That's right. That's right. And what do they see? When they have these experiences in that tunnel, instead of seeing an angel of light, they see demonic faces and beast-like claws heading towards them, and they usually come back and change their lives.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I just read a book that's out now about a woman who had an experience that seemed like very close to hell. So there are positive and negative experiences after life, just like there are during life.
Isn't that a little like the experience you had with that dream?
Well, in the way of being a conversional experience, I would say yes. I felt that even though I wasn't involved in any evil in the way of, I was a reporter reporting on the mafia, and I had done some investigating, like I said, into psychic phenomena, which is now they call it New Age. Even though I wasn't involved in that stuff myself, I was close enough that I think that that the situation was becoming dangerous for me on a spiritual scale, and I think that's why I talk about it now, even a dozen years later. Is because,
some of it was rubbing off on you?
Well, it was I was getting too close for comfort, and I don't want to see other people go through the same turmoil that I had to go through to get out of it.
All right, east of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Good morning. Hello there.
Yes.
Yes, sir, you're on the air. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Jacksonville, North Carolina.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a question, actually, about the trumpets of Jericho or something like that.
Of Gabriel.
Gabriel, yes.
Yes.
silly man. It's not the
Silly man.
trumpets of Jericho.
Which is a very different thing. Yep.
That's it. What exactly is that? Can you explain what that is and the significance here of what that meant by, say, the Hitchhiker?
Yes, we absolutely will, sir. Listen on the air. Michael, there is a movie I've seen that I've recommended to people because it was such a shocker. Have you ever seen a movie called The Rapture?
I have not.
Mothman prophecies.
With some hesitation, because it's a shocker, I recommend it to you. Now, The Trumpets of Gabriel.
Well, I mean, biblically, whether it's in Book of Revelation or elsewhere, the trumpet is used to announce something. And, of course, Gabriel is the angel who announced the coming of Jesus to Mary. And is there a significance with an announcement of major events coming? I mean, all these alleged hitchhikers saying that Gabriel is bringing the trumpet to his lips. Does that mean chastisement? Does that mean, like what you mentioned, with events coming in the world? A lot of people think that we're on the verge of some type of manifestation of Christ's power, some type of perhaps phenomenon that will bring people back. I don't know, but again, this hitchhiker phenomenon comes right from is not related at all to Marian apparitions, and yet it's part of the supernatural episode. There's so much going on right now, and I don't pretend, Art, and I hope I haven't come across pretentiously, because I don't pretend to have the answers. I'm just trying to observe and report and to warn. But something's coming down.
Something big's about to happen.
Something big is about to happen.
And as in 2010, you wouldn't necessarily say it's something wonderful.
Well, at Medjugorje, the Virgin Mary gave these 6 visionaries 9 or 10 secrets.
Back to Medjugorje.
Medjugorje, this guy loves it.
Did I miss anything? I assume not. I was
No.
giving my dog stuff.
You didn't. It's just kind of going on, but it's the.
All right.
Yeah.
Hopefully the next call is good.
Depending on, some of them have 10 secrets, some have 9, and these secrets pertain to events coming to the world, or at least some of the secrets do. And I interviewed one of the visionaries named Marian, who said that the first 3 secrets she was given have to do with events that will come as warnings to mankind, along with some kind of great miracle. And she says that when the first secret unfolds, a lot of people will just, and a lot of the media will just explain it away as a natural event. It'll be some type of, well, I take it to be some type of disaster or catastrophe on a regional scale.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll hear about it, we'll see it, but everyone won't experience it at once. And then she says that another event will come, and this time it'll be a lot harder for the scientists and for the media to just poo-poo. And then his third great miracle. And then later on, she says that the especially the 9th and 10th secrets have to do with very grave events for the world. And now, again, like you very astutely pointed out, a lot of these prophecies can be conditional. But these Medjugorje secrets seem to involve something of rather unprecedented proportion.
Well, I just know I feel it.
I haven't seen this much qualification since I was like an honor student in university. Well, could be this, could be that. Definitely. Or I used to work for the government back in the day, doing some writing and going, and nobody ever wants to put a definite anything on anything. Because,
right, exactly.
You don't want to be able to be held responsible for anything, but yeah.
These are Dr. Joshua Bowen levels of
yeah.
You don't know who that is, but he's a friend of the channel. Levels of qualification. So the good old Dunning-Kruger, like the more you know, the more you, like when you're actually qualified, you know that you can't just simply say yes or no to any of these questions.
Right.
Dr. Josh is someone who is considerably educated in the field and therefore can never give a yes or no answer because it's like, well, this is very, very complicated. But yeah, anyway.
Unless you're an engineer, in which case you better fucking give a yes or no answer because
exactly
we need to know how many
No, but if you're in the field of if you're in a history related field,
absolutely in history or anywhere, it's like maybe
particularly religious person, I should tell you, Michael. I guess I'm agnostic, but I feel something, and a lot of other people in the audience feel something coming, and this seems to jive with what you're saying, jive with what Gordon Michael Scallion and others are saying, and as I listen to you talk about an event followed by another larger event, and recalling what Gordon Michael Scallion said, you're both walking down exactly the same path from different perspectives, and that sort of scares me a little. Let's get back to the phones. We got so many calls here. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown.
Hello, Art. My name's Tom. I'm calling from Vancouver, Washington.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Brown, by the way, didn't you win a Pulitzer Prize for some of your work?
The Love Canal work was nominated for the gold medal, and from my understanding, came in second, but they don't really have a formal second place. You can't verify that.
Yeah, you should have mentioned that, Michael. I had no idea.
Didn't win it.
Well, it's being nominated and winning are two different things.
I would say it's a great honor and would have been worth mentioning. Anyway, caller, anything else?
I've read a lot of your work, Michael, and I think you're one of the foremost and best writers within the Marian movement. One of the sections in the book...
The Marian movement? Is that amongst... So I've heard the visions of the Virgin Mary are in the Catholic Church considered Marian apparitions.
He has mentioned the Virgin Mary several times. Oh, the Mary movement of priests. Is a private association of Catholic clergy and lay associates, founded in 1972. Yeah, so it's a Catholicism thing. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Anyways, this guy really likes Michael's writing. Good for him.
but weirdly, because he wrote previously about evolution and mafia and things, so.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think might have been The Final Hour, maybe one of the other books that has always kind of bothered me, was the references to communism getting its start really from an organized human demonic organization that bankrolled communism in Russia. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes, the Illuminati.
Okay, the Illuminati. And anything I've ever heard about,
I got my Illuminati square. I realize.
I know of nothing factual that actually points to this.
All right, let's ask.
Well, I don't think you can really prove it. There's, again, a lot of these things operate in a different, quite frankly, a different dimension. But there are organizations that have been very humanistic and quite frankly, anti-Christian with that are based in some of the ancient mystery religions, like the Egyptian stuff we mentioned earlier. And now they're considered just kind of like social clubs. But some movers and shakers in the banking world and government and so forth belong just for political purposes, and yet seems tied into organizations that in the past have bankrolled people like Vladimir Lenin, and of course the one who brought communism to full force in the Soviet Union. So I think there's something to it. Quite frankly, the one who wrote about this was Pat Robertson in a book called The New World Order. So I think there's something behind it, but I'm no expert at it.
This may be a good way to launch into this hour. Dear Art, I'm a Christian with a very strong faith, but have had odd experiences in the past few years and would like to ask Mr. Brown whether his investigations have discovered if there is any particular gemstones that are associated with Satan or any more associated with God. It seems strange, but I wear a large variety of gemstone jewelry, and certain ones make me feel anxious or depressed, while others give me an energetic, peaceful feeling. Some gemstone rings I wear on my left middle finger even seem to decrease the circulation. I'm not a flake, but I'm curious, since I believe God made all things, including all the natural stones.
Anytime your story needs to include the disclaimer, I'm not a flake.
This is the greatest show that was ever made.
I cannot wait to hear him tell us.
If you don't love this, then I'm sorry. There's something wrong with you. That's
why the gemstones that cut off your circulation are definitely demonic. And of course, it's not the stone. Of course, it's the band. Yeah. All right. Let's hear what. I can't wait to hear what research he's done on the Christian
gemstones. Yes,
which are set into jewelry. I would appreciate Michael Brown's view based on his research. Charlotte up in Portland. Michael? Oh, wait a minute. Let's press the button. Michael, are you there? You are.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know anything about gemstones and all of that, but it makes me a little bit wary because it gets into all this crystal New Age type things, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm Christian enough that if I'm going to wear something, it's going to be a cross, a crucifix. But I really don't know.
You know, the instrument of the death of the person I love is what I want to wear, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, that's a big deal for the Catholics.
It's something that may make him feel anxious because it's tied into, some of it can be tied into the occult. Again, this gets back to ancient pagan practices, and they call it New Age, but it's old age in a new bottle. It's just rehashed occultism, and we have to be careful.
A new label. All right, let's as much as we can go to the phones. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Hi.
Hi, my name is Darlene Miller, calling from New Orleans.
Yes.
Hi. First of all, I want to thank Art Bell and, of course, his speaker, Michael Brown, because I think this subject is long overdue. You mentioned spiritual...
Yes, if there's one thing in history that there's been a lack of, it's trying to foretell end of days.
Yeah.
It's really good of Art to take up the...
and some warnings about the devil.
Topic.
Now he's going to get you.
Warfare. And that is exactly what is going on. Most people don't realize where this warfare is taking place, but the battlefield is in the mind.
Well, I would also say in New Orleans, you're on the front lines.
Yes, exactly. I called into a talk show about a week ago, and when I mentioned that, a lot of callers behind me called in and were furious. And that's the deception. They have been deceived. And I like when Mr. Brown used.
So I called in and described my city as the place Satan is most active in this world, and people called after, and they were angry. Imagine.
You know,
I had a. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just like, yeah. Every time I enter the room. After I start talking for a while, people get angry. Must be wrong. Something's wrong with the people because it keeps happening.
So, so I'm gonna get your opinion or whatever. I had a conversation. Oh, this was a few weeks ago with some friends, and somehow or other, the topic of I honestly don't remember how religion and my personal faith and everything came up.
Okay.
And right, and it was like, well, you're very religious, and going, I'm like, well, I definitely wouldn't call myself very religious, or like, I don't really know where I fall in that spectrum, but I haven't been to church in like 10 years.
Very would be an inaccurate qualifier.
Definitely do not think that the Bible is accurate and whatever other thing, right? And they were like, well, you wear a cross, which I do. I don't know if you see, right? I have this.
You can't see it under your beard.
My beard, yeah. And I'm like, well, I wear this cross because it was a gift from my parents and grandparents when I was baptized. My grandparents passed on, and they go, but it's like this has been on my neck more or less nonstop since I was 12 years old, something like that, right? And to me, it's much more to do with the people who gave it to me,
right,
than any kind of profession of faith, but they were all just like, oh, just assume that, if you wear a cross. And I'm like, how many fucking like rocks, like you see cross, so many people have cross earrings and necklaces and everything who are the farthest thing from anything you would consider to be. It seemed odd to me that's
very cultural. Like, I mean,
well, you're wearing a cross necklace, you must be a, fervent Christian. It's like, okay, well.
Was I were you baptized where we met?
I would have been close. It was at Lawson.
Because
where I was.
I am pretty sure I remember being there.
You probably were, because it would have been after I started quizzing. I think I was in grade 7 or 8.
Okay, then I 100% would have been there for sure.
Yeah. I don't remember it super well ago. It was a long time ago when we were both old, right? That's like the same as like I have on my bookshelf. I have it's very, very tattered. It's almost falling apart. A New Testament Bible that I will keep until the day I die, because there's a 2-page letter written into it that my one page is my grandfather wrote it to me. My other page is my grandmother wrote it. My grandfather died when I was 10, before you knew me.
Okay.
My grandmother much later, but she had severe dementia and going. So like it was, anyways, we won't get into that. But it's like, and it's a very nice, like, it's a beautiful letter, and kind of go through when they both had, like, my grandfather came from Scotland on a cattle barge. He stowed away to Canada. He only had one arm. He came over, worked on farms and built a life and saved money and got his own farm. Like he has and I'm named after him. David was his name. And, we were close, and I loved my grandfather very much. Right.
That's right.
Like, yeah. So like, it's a lot more to do with this. To me, like, this is a gift from my grandparents that they wrote this letter in, and go like, but people see it and they're like, oh, well, look at, he's got this, it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to tell you about that. What are your thoughts, friend? I guess there's not really anything to think about any of that.
Well, I think that this keeping things for sentimental reasons. I similarly, on the bookshelf behind me, have some Bibles that I'm keeping entirely for sentimental reasons. I never did wear any jewelry related to my faith, so.
Well, I mean, I legitimately think you would, in your line of work, would keep Bibles as reference material too, right?
I would. So I had this. This is an unfortunate thing. So, at one point during the roughest times of my deconversion, I decided to purge all of my Bible school textbooks and notes, and like I had Greek texts, I had Hebrew lexicons. It was like I had so much stuff, and I could never have foreseen a day where that was gonna ever come in handy again. I lament that a lot. I just ditched a lot of reference material that
I still have a bunch of mine, which I would gladly give to you if you ever want, because I never look at it and don't care.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I just wanted to check in with you. So we're at the top of the hour here. Are you good to go for a bit?
I'm good to go for a bit. Yep.
Okay.
We do. I actually work in the morning tomorrow.
Yes.
So
we do have to.
But certainly I can go for another little while here. Yeah.
All right. Well, I will check in with you at the bottom of the hour, and we'll see how we go.
There we go.
That word, deceive, because that is exactly what is going on. As much as I don't want to sound like a preacher or what have you, I think the more you get into the Word of God, the more He reveals to you the spiritual things, those spiritual mysteries that you can begin to see spiritually, the things that are happening, the things that are Antichrist. You mentioned evil demons and
I'm literally hearing demons in the background of this call. Like it sounds like there's like
I don't know what's going on.
It sounds like there's like hail wailing. Anyway.
Also, do not worry, Jeff. You did not offend me even in the slightest, nor did I take it in an offensive way. He made a comment. He would agree with it.
It takes quite a bit to offend Dave.
It does take a lot. I have fairly thick skin. Yeah.
There's only one devil, and he has a host of demons that he dispatches to do all of his demonic activities. Also, the angels are there to combat those. That's also a warfare going on as we speak. As we talk, there may be angels sitting right by you listening. And this big airway that you have, Art Bell.
I was going to say, I can't tell if she's at a hell or at an airport.
Or an airport. I was just going to say.
But then I realized, well, those are very similar things.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
It's great because He wants His word, God wants His word to get out to as many people as possible.
Well, I hope. Okay, I hope that's what we're doing. She touched on the Antichrist, and I meant to ask you about that, Michael. The Antichrist, who is he? Is he around now? Is he due to be around soon? What's the deal?
Well, I'll start out by being...
100% going to predict right now that he's going to say, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Maybe he's coming later. We'll have to see.
All right, so we're predicting ambivalence.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we got another...
This is an excellent super chat for $20. Thank you so much, Eric. In an alternate universe, Jesus died choking on a pretzel. People wear pretzel jewelry. Church serves pretzels for communions. Denominations split over whether the pretzel is salted or unsalted. Yes.
I mean, that second part absolutely would happen, and I would enjoy the first. Yeah.
Based on Dr. Brown's...
I'm a little sad that I grew up in a Protestant wussy religion where they're like, no, we're going to give grape juice instead of wine. Like, half-assed it. Did we ever read Timothy Harmon's there?
The one that just said grandparents?
Grandparents. I mean
just is the wrong word. The one that exclaimed grandparents?
Yeah, we don't want to
belittle. It was not to diminish in any way the grandparents with 2 exclamation marks. We got you, Timothy. We feel that one.
We got you, Timothy. Yeah.
It was up on screen and we felt the grandparents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul's grandmother was one of my favorite people when she was still with us. Rest in peace. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was fantastic. And an amazing woman who had some amazing stories, having been around the world a very long time. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll also add that, to be frank about it, Art, there are a lot of prophecies coming from the Catholic realm that say that the answer may be yes. I mean, we don't know the legitimacy of many of these prophecies, but I have a chapter in the book about one woman in South America, I went to see her in Ecuador, who claims to be having apparitions of the Virgin Mary, and claims, and I say claims and I emphasize that because I don't know if it's true or not, but she claims that she was told as part of her message that the Antichrist is alive in the flesh and he's a young man. Now, this sounds preposterous to a lot of people, and in fact, if you look historically, we've seen...
All right, so 95, he's a young man. Like what? He's around 20?
Yeah.
So right now, the Antichrist is sort of a middle-aged man.
Yeah. I'm biting my tongue to make a Trump joke because I feel like that's just low-hanging fruit. Also, I feel like the Antichrist will be more competent. Also, I'm not even American, so it's not my fault.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the Antichrist will lose any elections.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's been proven a few times in court, but not...
especially in the 13th and the 14th centuries. But there certainly is a spirit of Antichrist rising right now. And one wonders...
No, just Antichrist is not just against Christ.
No. Is that's somebody who hasn't watched enough 70s horror movies if they don't...
Yeah. Also, I wanted to mention, so I while I was dealing with dog stuff, I was lamenting during the technical difficulties that I forgot to get.
What's dog spelled backwards, Paul?
What's who? Dog. Ooh, dog. That's right. It all comes around.
Yeah.
What if I have a live dog?
Well, then get out of the house. Get out of the house immediately.
It's an evil god. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I brought some tequila.
No, don't do that.
And a shot glass, just in case something
just in
amazing
case anybody
happens.
Feels like anyone feels like throwing out $10, do you get?
No. It's not. It's for something. It's something for truly inspirational and amazing. Otherwise, I do need to refill a little bit with some Appleton. So off we go.
I mean, there was a $20 super chat not that long
ago. But I mean,
yeah.
like, it's not the amount of the gift. It's the visceral, something that touches my.
But I mean,
non-existent soul.
Amazing, the alternate universe with Jesus died choking on a pretzel.
That was pretty great. That was pretty great.
And I feel if that isn't worth a shot of tequila, I don't know what is.
It needs to be alternate timeline pretzel Jesus or better.
So I'm saying you owe Eric a shot of tequila.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
No, I think that is established.
No, because the tequila offer wasn't on the table at the time of the pretzel.
Oh, okay. That's fair. You're not going to... Yeah. Okay.
We're not retconning drinks here.
I'm just trying to get you to drink tequila. Right. I'm hoping peer pressure will twist your rubber arm.
It's quite possible.
There is going to be this new world order, and there's going to be an attempt at one world religion, and then a lot of things are going to come down, both natural events, societal events like perhaps riots and chaos, and the spiritual events like perhaps...
There has been riots and chaos.
How many times has you said perhaps in the last... Because I've counted 4, and I think I might have missed some. That's when I first started noticing. I'm like, you keep saying it perhaps.
Pretty qualified here.
Yeah.
Of a political leader who will, if not the Antichrist himself, will be some type of precursor. So there's just a lot of battling going on, and it's going to materialize more and more into the physical realm.
All right. Economically, politically, I would say the New World Order is on the way, Michael. Anybody with any common sense looks at how things develop, and they develop first economically, and we are now hooked up economically without any doubt, if not interdependent, and the political changes inevitably follow that. So we're headed, toward a one world.
I mean, okay, that's a school of thought.
Yeah, so it depends entirely what you mean by New World Order.
it kind of leads into the Marxist view of history, whereas like all history is basically driven by economic forces rather than anything else, which I think is
he's making
demonstrably false.
He needs to have he's assuming the New World Order is synonymous with one world government, which it would have been non-controversial probably in the 90s for a lot of evangelicals to think that those were synonymous things.
Yes.
It's a period of time where that was considered to be a kind of a thing.
Does it have to be, in your opinion, evil?
Well, certainly doesn't have to be.
Or will it be?
Was that?
Oh, I was just reading chat where Webb commented that Paul needs to have the host of this show on his channel to explain his epistemology, and Jeff said that would be a miracle. That would be an impressive feat if you could have. Unfortunately, Art Bell, the host of this show, the person you're listening to, passed away a number of years ago. He is no longer among us. So Paul,
Art wouldn't. Art
cannot be a guest on.
The thing about Art, as we've observed in previous episodes, is that Art was half. He was half intrigued about the truth, but also at least partially a showman, and understood that on a night by night basis. I would say more than
partially, yes.
On a night by night basis, in order to make his show entertaining, he needed to, what we would call steel man. He would try and steel man the other person's case as best he could, even if he didn't buy it.
He was out to make the guest look good,
right?
Which is the best thing for the overall show, right?
Even though he would later, so normally if you stuck through to the end, he would then explain, well, I didn't buy that, or like, but he wouldn't give you that up front.
Sometimes it's pretty clear. Even some of the ones we listen to.
Sometimes, you can hear the contempt in his voice, but sometimes,
or just Art would be like, or maybe that's just, you're taking random things and drawing a line between them when there's no actual causality there at all. Yeah, or something like that. But generally speaking, he would attempt to make the guest's case for them, unless they're very boring and refuse to talk about UFOs, in which case
that's right.
We're just going to go off. Yeah. Now, the callers, Art will just... He tries to be open-minded, but sometimes I've seen him just straight up rip into.
Oh yeah, he's.
I don't think that's right. He's always nice. Yeah. He's never mean or sarcastic. But yeah,
people in my audience who know who Matt Dillahunty is. He's a little bit Matt Dillahunty on some of the callers every once in a while. So, so your long lost pal writes, Aunt Jesus was burned by a magnifying glass for our sins.
You just said Aunt Jesus was burned.
I'm apparently
yeah, maybe you haven't even gotten into tequila.
I don't even need tequila. Apparently,
I'll take this one, Paul. Antichrist was burned by a magnifying glass for our sins,
and that's a much better reading of the.
I'll be cold in the dead ground before I burn a candle for Antichrist.
I think $5 is Australian $5, and I'm not even sure if that's more or less than our.
I think we've embarrassed ourselves with foreign currencies enough tonight. Let's just say thank you to your long lost pal.
I appreciate the long lost pal.
Yeah, look, we're from North America, and we don't really know much about the rest of the world. Okay, everybody.
So here's what I was about to say. I was about to say if long lost pal would write in and tell me that was a reference to Paul Simon, then I would have a shot. And look at what the avatar is, Dave. Do you see it?
It's too small. I can't see it.
It is Chevy Chase from the You Can Call Me Al music video.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
One of my favorite songs of all time.
I know you love that video too. Yeah.
And I love that video. So because of that, not because of the super chat, but because of your screen name and the reference.
Yeah.
Some Hornitos.
They don't realize how many boxes they've ticked for you.
Yeah, they didn't know that. They presumably didn't set this up in advance. Your long lost pal. I can call you Betty.
Yeah,
Betty, when you call me, you can call me Al.
out of respect for your super chat, I am not going to do a bad Australian accent or talk about shrimp or Barbies.
I appreciate
or how
that.
you're a fucking legend, mate. None of that.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate that, long lost pal.
What? Okay, wait. Stop. Before you drink that.
I already drank it.
Late? Oh, you already drank it? That was like a half shot. What the fuck are you
No. This
here?
this is a double glass.
Oh, okay. I don't want to call you out.
It's very.
Yeah. No. I'm also keeping in mind that it is Monday night. Well, Tuesday where I am.
Yeah. Well,
and I will have
Tuesday where I am now too.
Yep.
Very dangerous. Art, I got to be honest with you. I'm wary a lot of times of the United Nations and what they propagate.
Indeed.
Because if you have anything that can control a world from a single source, you have to be wary that single source is going to end up being evil.
Yes, because what we've all learned is the United Nations is very good at controlling the
Anybody who thinks the United
nations.
Nations controls anything is wonderfully naive. Yep.
Throughout history, the world has never been united as one world, and you're right. There are movements in that direction. There are some frightening things that when you look at what's happening in Brussels with unifying Europe, when you look at the trade agreements and so forth. I don't want to be paranoid.
That didn't age well.
Nope. No. I think the word he's looking for is paranoid, but carry on.
Because I think we can start to be Chicken Little here sometimes. But on the other hand, look around you. What's going on here with this globalism? And what bothers me is that when you do have globalism, like the United Nations religious program, they have a spiritual program that tries to unify religion. They always try to unify it under pagan belief system, and there's a real anti-Christian.
No.
Maybe you know something about this. I don't know. I've never heard of any sort of like serious United Nations program to unify religion or any kind of religious branch of the United Nations or agenda or anything.
Absolutely not. And
Yes, that's right, AB Lovecraft. The United Nations, I would say, is a legitimate government agency.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So let's go back to the...
Okay, well, I both my beers already. I guess we're just now drinking.
Well, that's why, because I'm deeper in than you. That I've been
deeper in. I've had like 4 drinks tonight. Now I'm drinking straight Jim Beam's Devil Cut with no mix and no ice.
Oh wait, Eric Storch claims to have a bingo. So Eric, what you need to do in the chat is let Dave know what bingo card number you have.
Yep. What's the card number?
Because he can verify with the card number whether or not you indeed have an official bingo. All right, so we'll wait for that.
So I still got my.
No, but to the point, United Nations, and any like a lot of the leading things, for example, in Europe, since 1995, Europe has done more about uniting than most of the rest of the world.
Yes.
None of the European Union included a religious language at all. Like that I have looked into.
Okay.
Like, especially like as you can imagine, of course, because the whole Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, it's quite a melting pot if you look at all of Europe. That was just it's a bit of a landmine to avoid. So
where's your bingo, Eric? Is it up, down, diagonal? What
yes,
row?
Eric, if you can add Dave. Dave, you need to have an official tag, I guess. I need to make you a moderator, and we can figure out who you are in the chat for people to tag you. But anyway.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of work.
Not for tonight. This is future days.
But sometime.
But yes, Eric, if you can let us know if it's under the BINGO and what the Which way, so that Dave can figure it out?
I can share Eric's bingo card here if we.
Are you gonna give me a?
If you want. I don't know. It might be a.
No, that's a whole thing. I'm not gonna do that.
Bottom left to top right. Okay, so we go. Well. Okay, bottom left was transdimensional beings. Am I looking at I'm looking at card 2. My mistake. Sorry, Eric. I'm like, this isn't even remotely Egypt. Or it mentions Egypt. Have a drink. Mesopotamia, legitimate. Yep, he absolutely did.
Wow. Well done, Eric.
He had Egypt, and Art mentions Egypt on his I might have to take I forgot that both
that's
of those
that's a twofer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, cheers to you, Eric.
I meant to have Art mentions his trip to Egypt is the one which he was the thing. But I didn't say that, so Eric is correct. Eric has the bingo. Yeah.
All right. Well, Eric wins, but you and I are still.
Eric wins a tall, crisp glass of liquid ice.
That's right. From our did you arrange? Ideally, Dave, in the future, if you could arrange with our sponsors.
This is
to have a
I
prize.
Hate to, Paul, I don't like to, sort of open the kimono and air our business, but this stream was a little bit thrown together at the last minute. We weren't sure it was going to happen, so I didn't have time to arrange a liquid ice prize.
But here's the thing. I think liquid ice, Eric, if you just go to your local liquid ice service, so like it be your tap.
Yeah. And remember to use promo code Toast to Toast.
The promo code Toast to Toast. We will give you 20%. I will cover personally out of my budget 20% bonus volume.
You know what makes me sad?
Ice.
You know what makes me sad, Paul? I just see. So I see right now we have 116 people watching this stream.
Okay.
Which is amazing, great. And only 73 likes. So that means there's like roughly 40 people who do not like what we're doing.
Well, that is, especially when you consider that 3% of people have been abducted by aliens.
Yeah. So, I mean, they probably get a pass. I feel like they got enough shit going on. They don't have time to.
Here's the secret, Dave, and I don't mean to be the person to tell everyone.
Straight bourbon right there. Straight devil's cup.
I don't mean to tell everyone. The thumbs up doesn't do shit.
The thumbs up doesn't do. You know what? It's great. We appreciate the sentiment, but it doesn't do a goddamn thing for us one way or the other. But we still like it,
The YouTube algorithm has progressed beyond the need for thumbs up and thumbs down.
Yeah. But emotionally, I have not.
I see.
So I desperately need this validation, Paul. Should we read the super chat from
Eric? No, but hold on. While we're doing what I would rather do, if you want to validate me, I would much rather you subscribe to the channel, which we're getting very near to 15,000 subscribers.
That would be fantastic,
and that would be amazing. I think we're like 16 away or something like that. So I'd rather you
subscribe. That like button. Bam! Yeah.
But also, the subscribe does literally nothing anymore. Like it's just like these are metrics from 2010.
If you really want to help, you should join Paul's Patreon.
Join the Patreon. Send us a super chat, just like Eric has done. The pretzel God is the true God. He has blessed me with the liquid ice.
He has blessed you with the liquid ice.
Brilliant.
Go, son. Enjoy your liquid ice.
A brilliant super chat, and we appreciate that. And now apparently we're shilling for likes, which is fine.
Yeah, but I have an actual job in a real business, so I am not that worried about your Patreon or your super chats. Paul is unemployed.
I do not. So this is now. Yeah. I'm going to have to go home for the holidays, Dave.
Yeah.
And there's going to be family that I haven't spoke to in a while, and they're going to say, "Hey, Paul, how's work?"
Yeah. And Ed isn't going to be there, and she's going to ask what's going on, and you're going to have to say, it's like strangers on the internet give me money.
Well, here's what I try and do. You see, the faith that you hold most dear.
Yeah.
I go online and try to prevent people from
Also, I have an OnlyFans page, but that's a separate thing.
I would actually love to say. I bet I could say that at my family gatherings, and no one would blink an eye because I'm hoping that there's one of two things that happen. One, most people would not know what OnlyFans is, but two, anyone who did would not be willing to admit that they know what OnlyFans is.
It's like the old. Did I ever tell you this joke? This is not going to be funny to almost everybody in our chat, but it's going to be funny to you.
Okay.
Hey, Paul.
Perfect. Yes, Dave.
If you're ever going fishing, I don't know if you know this, but you never invite a Mennonite to go along with you. You invite two from the same church. Because if you invite one Mennonite, he's going to drink all your beer and smoke all your smokes. But if you invite two from the same church, he won't drink a drop or smoke a single one.
Oh, that is so true.
So true. And that we just absolutely everybody's like, what the fuck are these idiots
That is
talking
the truest
about?
thing that has happened on this whole stream, this whole evening. When it talked about reality being true and objective reality being true, that is absolutely correct.
That is it right there. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Dave. So we're at the bottom of the hour. I promised I would check in with you at the bottom of the hour. Do we end it on your joke?
I've still got this much left.
Okay, so we're going to keep going for a little bit.
We've got to keep going.
Okay, you tell me if you need to go. You let me know, but I will.
Let's give her another half hour and then call it good.
All right.
It's true. You've traveled to Medjugorje 3 times, you said, and around the world four times, and checked out people who have seen.
Every time they say Medjugorje, I'm thinking of like.
It sounds like unobtainium from Avatar.
It's like one of those like little places on the side of a road, like somewhere about an hour away from a major city. Go see Medjugorje with like the billboard,
or it's a kingdom in a young adult novel.
Yes. Medjugorje.
Oh, Medjugorje. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
These apparitions, and I'm curious, since you've been close by, have you ever seen one yourself?
No, I've never seen an apparition. I've seen manifestations of the Virgin Mary in Venezuela. I'll tell you about that one second, but I'd like to add that some of my most profound experiences were in the former Soviet Union.
Oh.
Way in the hinterlands. I mean, in peasant villages back before the fall of communism, villages that don't have telephones, don't have radio, don't have newspapers, and yet in village after village, widely separated remote villages, they were all reporting phenomena back in 1987 with the Virgin Mary and with visions of Jesus that seemed to portend some major event, which perhaps ended up being the fall of communism, and some unsettling prophecies about a great future war that may well involve the Soviet Union and China. I'm very concerned about the former republics of the Soviet Union. I'm very concerned about the Islamic element there. I'm very concerned even about Turkey, which isn't part of the Soviet Union, but can cause a lot of Islamic unrest in the Soviet Union and in China.
You know about the riots now going on.
Socioeconomically, and of course historically, we now know that Islam in Russian-controlled states didn't actually take hold super well.
No.
Turkey was the exception, but of course he talked about Turkey as not.
Well, Turkey wasn't Russian-controlled.
So.
Or Soviet-controlled, yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, it's actually, if I was more invested and more sober, I would want to look up what some of these socioeconomic things were in the 90s, but this doesn't hold up well. He's not. His totally prophecies are from
wrong.
An alternate timeline. Dave.
It would be a horror thing. Not so much in the former Soviet bloc, but certainly in the. There is a very real argument to be made for
in Europe, right?
Well, even in the. Like Afghanistan and so places where it wasn't like where the Soviet and the U.S. were very much both exerting influence, and neither was controlled. But it's a long and it is a very, very complicated issue. But there is a thing where it's like, and now these superpowers just 100% pulled out all their influence. They just don't care anymore, right? Because it's not a zone of contention between the two anymore, or between China and the U.S. now, or whatever thing, right? Where it's like, and now these kind of warlords and factions, things that were propped up by the various external regime. It's a very interesting and very nuanced and very complicated question, and it goes in, and sort of what he's talking about is not wrong. He's absolutely right in some ways, not so much in like Kazakhstan and some of like the actual former Soviet republics, where, like you say, Islam didn't really get a hold, because the USSR was a very staunchly atheist society. There was a religion, but in places where the Soviet bloc was exerting tremendous influence, there were and are still today. I mean, ISIS thing, like there are very real issues today in, as we speak right now in 2022 with Islam in places, and it is because of not just the Soviet Union. The U.S. and NATO have as much as to do with it as anything, but it's way too much to get into in this. But it has to do with like shadow wars and the governments and funding and blah 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 blah, and it is actually a fascinating subject. But he is not wrong, and you could see it. And there were lots of people in the 90s who were saying, hey, this is going to be a problem in 20 years. The regimes that were propping up, the people were giving money and resources and drugs to, and the religious factions were giving money and resources and weapons to, because they are our proxy fighters in this area where we can't commit our actual military, because what we absolutely don't was get into an actual war with the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union doesn't want to get a war with us. So we each have our, faction that each of us is propping up and giving stuff to, and they're fighting a kind of proxy war on our behalf. And a lot of people are dying and being hurt, and a whole lot of socioeconomic horrible things are happening, but we're kind of 6 steps removed from the equation, and it's anyways.
Yep, agree.
Yeah. A lot of people have done a lot of good stuff on that subject.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting. Like, this Michael Brown, who is not right about a ton of things, it was either that obvious, or he was right about some stuff.
But recently, I said, watch out, because I've been wondering about Turkey for years now, and we have to be very wary of what could happen with these former republics of the Soviet Union, because when the Virgin Mary came to Medjugorje, it was in Yugoslavia, and in 1981 she came saying, peace, have peace, because if you don't, there's going to be, she implied, a hideous conflict. And at the time, no one paid attention, because Yugoslavia looked like it was going to make the easiest transition to democracy and capitalism.
That's right.
And right now we know what happened. It degenerated into a hideous conflict. Well, you have the same ethnic mix in the former republics of the Soviet Union, the same ethnic hostilities, but on a much greater level. And so I'm especially interested in the fact that all of these apparitions in the Soviet Union began on the first anniversary of Chernobyl. And I'm also interested in the fact, and this is a coincidence, that
okay, well, I've never heard that. How it's somehow Chernobyl.
Also, what? So I
don't want to call this man a liar, but there's certainly a history of that kind of thing going back to pre-Soviet Union Russia. And anyways, yeah. Yes.
Also, like, to pinpoint, like, do they know? I guess they do. I was gonna say, like, when I say the anniversary of Chernobyl, like, I guess it's the anniversary of the actual accident, but they don't specifically know I don't know that they ever got enough data to be able to pinpoint like this was the date of the accident, but maybe they do. Maybe they have that.
No, absolutely, 100%. They can to the minute they know.
Okay.
This is when the.
I guess they do because it was the night shift. They know, they know that
it was a nuclear power
something.
plant. Like they had logs and
Yeah.
stuff going, right?
Yeah.
Like it was monitored equipment. They know exactly when it happened. Yeah.
The word Chernobyl is a Ukrainian word for a bitter herb called that we would translate as being wormwood. And if you look in the book of Revelation, wormwood has a lot of implications.
Yes, it does. Wow.
I don't think that's.
I've read the book of Revelation several times, and I do not recognize wormwood.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways,
wormwood in the Bible. Oh, look, you and I are wrong, Dave. Look
are
at
we?
me not. So wormwood.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. Chernobyl is the Ukrainian word for wormwood. Well, there you go.
But also, it's mentioned in the book of. See, we're learning stuff. Heaven, we know. We're gonna
wormwood is mentioned in the Bible. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's in the book of Revelation, which I did not specifically remember. So the third angel blew his trumpet, and the great star fell, blazing like a torch, and it fell on the third.
Yeah, it's a crazy prophecy.
The name of the star is Wormwood, so I had forgotten that. All right.
You're the worst fucking biblical scholar I know.
I am, right? Well,
yeah.
But you have heard of me.
I have heard of you. You're kind of a big deal.
Again, what is striking to me, and you can't appreciate this because you did not, I had to send you the interview I had with Gordon Michael Scallion. You two are traveling down exactly the same roads, giving exactly the same warnings. It's just that you're coming from a Christian perspective, and he was coming from pure prophecy, if you will. Not connected, at least in his mind. Well, maybe it was. You two, though, are going down such a similar road that it's frightening. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Hi.
Hi, this is Janae in Santa Rosa, California, KSRO.
Yes.
Michael, I'm very impressed with your credibility and your...
Santa Rosa, by the way, was my church home for like almost a decade.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Background, and the lady from New Orleans was quite right. This is spiritual warfare that we're in, and being so fleshly, of course, we take it that way and interpret it from that point of view.
I think this woman just called me fat.
This caller,
rude,
from nearly 30 years ago.
Nearly 30 years ago. Yeah.
Just insulted your appearance. You can't stand for this.
I'm gonna have a strongly worded letter.
Facts. I want you to say the strongly worded facts.
Facts. I mean, we have a fax machine at work. I can send the facts. Yeah.
They're from a spiritual. And the two comments I want to make are, one, the scripture is very clear that Satan will appear as an angel of light, because, I mean, if he appeared as the evil being that he was, he'd reveal himself and people would flee.
Morning Star, yeah.
Yeah, she's not wrong. That is
not wrong. That's correct.
Scripture. Yeah.
And not be deceived.
So wrong.
And the question I have for you, Michael, is these apparitions of the Virgin Mary in various places, and I'm not denying that these things are occurring. What I'm pointing out is what I believe is the source. We're told very clearly in Scripture not to consort with the dead, that necromancy is against what...
That is a turn. I did not expect necromancy.
When she brought the angel of light, I'm like, oh, she's going to pull it up that, like, you can't trust this nonsense.
I'm still hoping for crop circles. That's what's on the forefront of my mind.
The Lord wants for us. So how is it consistent?
Neither of us, I don't think, have
Scripture?
ghosts on our car.
I don't have ghosts, no.
No, so
I have cryptids, but that's not the same thing.
There's not the same thing.
And God's word that people could be consorting with Mary, who would be a dead human being.
All right.
Well, it's a very good question, and I have to say that, back I think in Exodus and Deuteronomy, when we were told about sorcery and enchanters and so forth, necromancy is communicating with the dead. We should not consort with mediums and people who allow spirits to talk through them. But I think you have to draw a distinction between occultic communication with the dead and holy mysticism. You look at Christ. Christ in his transfiguration spoke to the dead. He was still in human form when he spoke to Moses and Elijah. He had apparitions of Moses and Elijah along with a couple of his disciples. So there is a precedent for it, and I think that these appearances of the Virgin Mary are quite distinct from that type of occultism. Although I got to also tell you that there are cases of people reporting the Virgin Mary that turn out to be either products of imagination or exaggeration, or
what? Some of the people who report, I thought all the people who talked to him were the good people who didn't make up shit.
But he's talking about the people who talk to other people.
Okay, the other people.
I also was very delighted by Eric Storch's comment. This caller is exactly what an unsalted heretic would say. I love this pretzel-based religion that is being birthed. You can't trust the unsalted.
That's right.
They believe all kinds of wacky doctrine.
Spiritual deception, so that does happen. But I do think that we're right now in Revelation 12, and we're starting to begin Revelation chapter 13. And chapter 12 of Revelation talks about a woman clothed with the sun and appearing in the remote hinterlands like Yugoslavia. And I think that if you look back at that and what is said in Genesis about the woman putting her heel to the snake
west of the Rockies,
I think that there's I think that we begin to form a precedent for what's going on.
Michael from AP down in San Diego, would you ask your guest his impression of Hal Lindsey's writings and Elizabeth Clare Prophet's teachings?
Elizabeth Clare Prophet, from what I understand, is, and I don't know anything about her, but certainly a lot of people say that it gets into this New Age stuff, and I'd like to stay away from that. And Hal Lindsey's a Christian. He gets into a lot of biblical prophecy from the Protestant perspective or from the non-denominational perspective. He goes further than I do. He says some things in a stronger way than I would as a journalist. Again, as I mentioned, I can't sit here from my vantage point and tell you that we're in the last days, or that we're approaching some final coming or final judgment. But I will say that guys like Hal Lindsey are feeling some type of prophetic impulse, something like you're feeling too, Art.
Yes.
Something is coming down the pike, and we better be prepared for it.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you?
I'm calling from Fort Smith, Arkansas.
All right.
Michael, I have a question. In the book of Hebrews, it speaks in reference to vessels of destruction being created, almost giving the impression, and I'm wanting to find out your opinion, that we really have no choice and when it's all said and done. Are you knowing what do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
That we have not quite. I'm.
Well, what it says that
God
created.
Well, vessels of destruction. So, if
I don't know about what this. I've never heard it tied to that reference in Hebrews. I've heard of we really have no choice. That the straight up predestination, that everything is predestined, and essentially it's that's a very old theological argument.
Right. So what I remember about Hebrews, and I'm just looking it up here, in Hebrews vessel, Hebrews, we have this hope in jars of clay, right? I always took
was that the reference?
Well, I'm trying to actually find anything in Hebrews that even relates to this.
Okay, let's see. Romans 9:22, vessels of wrath prepared for destruction.
Like, there's nothing actually in Hebrews. Maybe someone in the chat knows.
I guess maybe let the caller.
We'll let him figure it out. But yeah, like, because
yeah,
vessels of destruction is not something I remember from the Book of Hebrews, and I memorized the Book of Hebrews, and I don't remember that. So.
Yeah, the jars of clay I do. Maybe if it's a different translation.
But that is all about not about being evil, but it's about being not up to the task, right? It's like we're basically,
or that it's like it's that there's nothing special about you, but whatever we can get into. That's totally
we'll see what he
thing.
says.
Yeah.
Destruction as well as vessels for glory, meaning that there are vessels that were created for the dark side, and then that there were vessels created for light.
And
maybe you're talking about UFOs.
Well, and that there is no choice. In other words,
that there is no choice.
That these individuals are predestined to be as they are. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
All right, that's what he means.
Predestination, Calvinism.
Yeah, so you hit closer than I did on where he was heading. So he was talking about Calvinism,
which is, I mean, that's a super, super, super old, and there's books and books and books written about that.
Oh, heated debates to this day on YouTube. I'm sure you can find one yesterday at Calvinism versus Molinism,
and within like seminaries and among,
of course,
people who 100% are Christian and believe everything in the Bible, but it's a very real, like legitimate wars have been fought over it.
Right, and actually, it's interesting. People in my chat, I don't think I've expressed this per se, but I actually do feel like, that you could almost convince me that if I had to, at some point, if I become Christian, that feel like Christianity is true, Calvinism actually does make reasonable sense to me, compatible with what I've experienced in life right now, in that, I just feel like I am not one of the selected. So God doesn't really give a shit what's up with me, right? It's like, because you're just not one of the chosen, so fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Anyway,
I've never been a fan of Calvinism, even when
no.
All
right, off we go.
Well, there's so many references in the Bible to vessel. I just, while you were talking, quickly punched into my computer, and I think you can find the word vessel in 20 books. It says here,
literally in 3
books. I don't know, when it comes to evil, I think that's a choice. I don't think that God.
Am I doing this wrong? I typed the word vessel. I found it in 3 different books.
Your beer tastes like Seville to us. Am I saying this correctly? Am I saying only pigs would drink your beer?
All right, let me go to King. If I switch over to King James, what happens if I look?
I mean, there's, or the American.
Oh, you know what? King James, totally cow.
I feel like vessel.
King James,
vessel is something that would. It's a nice poetic term that I'm sure the King James throws.
No, let me go to Hebrews. So, no, that's not a relevant verse. Okay, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think he's got his books wrong. I think maybe he's talking about Romans. Yeah.
The caller, you mean?
I do not feel super confident because...
Oh, he totally is. And that would have set me on a whole different path. He absolutely, based on what I'm seeing here, you're absolutely right. I think he is thinking of Romans and not Hebrews.
Because there is a section in Romans where it talks about God has prepared some that's the main Calvinist argument, where it's like God's prepared some people, it's like that are basically doomed, and he's prepared some to be saved, and it's just that's the way it is. And
I think if he'd have said Romans, my mind would have been on a whole different path. No, I think you're right. I think you pinpointed. Well done, Dave.
Yeah, creates evil. I think that's something that we create ourselves, or that we hook into. I shouldn't say we create, because it was here before we ever existed. As Christ said,
I wish Heathen Queen was here to see me be right.
Well, presumably I will leave this stream to be, I'll leave it up and people can see.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
And fall like lightning. And,
all right, Michael, we've got to pause here. It's the bottom of the hour.
Yes.
Let's tell them how to get your book. I guess you can't walk into any bookstore and get it?
Well, you can in some, but you can order it through Walden's, the Christian bookstores, the Catholic bookstores, and but in some parts of the country there's a problem because the secular stores don't often carry some of the Christian prophecies, even though the books sell as much as what they do carry. But there is an 800 number that's available Monday morning, and
this is all pre-Amazon, so I too totally get. Yeah. You and I have worked, well, you have worked for me in the publishing arena.
Yes.
I do get that getting your book into a store, into the physical stores, is a whole thing.
Yeah. So
I empathize with him. Yeah. It would have been tough.
But I also listen to this guy. He's like, well, it's like you can order it through the, some certain stores, and there's a 1-800 number you can call. It's like, just tell us the fucking 1-800 number. Just tell, like, you're talking to the whole nation now. The show is called Coast to Coast. They would love to buy your shit. Tell them how to give you money. But no, you got to be like, whatever. There's a number and some things. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be prepared for that when you're coming on a show to show a thing.
Yeah. Art's trying. Art's trying his best.
I'm trying to move your books, man. Move the units.
This is the part. Look in the camera. Look in the camera. Look in the camera. Plug what you're doing right now. There's like a 1-800 number or something. I don't know. You got to talk to my secretary about that. Yeah, she's
keep dialing. I'm sure he'll get
Michael. Yeah. Look, the internet doesn't really exist right now, but if it did, I tell you, just Google it. Check your latest issue of Collier's magazine. I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
Ask Jeeves is still in the future at this point.
Yes, it is. It is. It's so crazy to think about how much. Yeah.
The book also.
All right, let's give it to them. I'm going to try and say it here. You tell me if I'm wrong. I've got 1-800-57.
I'm going to try. You dumbass. You stupid rube. Let me try and sell your shit for you.
66477.
Yeah, that's 800-576-6477.
Good. Mm-hmm. And they can call it Monday morning.
That's right.
And they can order either the Trumpet of Gabriel and or the Final Hour.
That's true.
Okay. All right, excellent. I'd like to, in the remaining time, spend as much time on the phones as we can. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air with Michael Brown. Hi.
Caller.
Okay, so we're hitting close to the top there. Are we done?
I want to hear the first time. I love a first-time caller.
Okay, first-time caller. We'll hear what the first-time callers.
Hi, calling from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario.
Ontario, yes.
Yeah, for Canada there. Yeah, I just had a question, or actually a comment, I guess, for Michael there. This is about the Bible, the Book of Revelation.
This person sounds like they're in the cast of Letterkenny.
Have you watched Shoresy?
No.
Oh. Are you aware of it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
So, Shoresy is a minor character in Letterkenny. He's always in the bathroom stall yakking with the hockey players and just talking shit to them. So they made a show. So it's Jared Keeso, who plays Wayne in Letterkenny. So he also plays this character, Shoresy, who leaves Letterkenny and goes and plays senior league hockey in Sudbury, Ontario.
Okay.
And it's like I can't remember, 6 or 8 episodes. And so the whole season's just like one long coherent story. There is a bunch of legitimate NHLers, like multiple Stanley Cup winning people in this show. Everybody in the show is a real professional hockey player, except for Jared Keefe. And so, but they're all these guys that are in their 40s and they're playing senior league hockey now. And the show, I like Letterkenny, and Shoresy is like, it's on another level. It's so much better.
Okay, well, I'll check it out.
It's strongly recommend anybody who's like remotely likes hockey and like sort of and gets senior league hockey and some of the small town hockey they do. It's so good, so fucking good. Yeah, watch Shoresy. Cool. It's like it's not that huge a commitment. It's like I said, it's like 6 or 8 episodes. It's Anyways,
I'm assuming it's on Crave or whatever the Letterkenny's on.
Yeah.
Letterkenny's on Crave, so I'm guessing it's also on there. Anyway,
yeah,
but that's a Canadian thing too. We don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
There, it had this thing that was mentioned a couple times about this Babylon the Great thing, eh? And I just wondered if Michael, Mr. Brown there, knew anything about that, what that was or anything.
Well, certainly, if you look in the Book of Revelation and you see the reference there to Babylon, it's very striking. It seems like nearly a description of where I used to live, New York City, or I guess you could say Los Angeles too.
Yes.
A place where all of the merchants of the earth came and had all these luxuries and all of these jewels and precious stones and pearls and linen and purple and silk and all this other stuff, and also was into sensuality and all kinds of promiscuity and so forth, perversions. And
yes, you're really struggling to find points in history where people are into promiscuity and sexuality.
And
that's it.
Paul, you know what he means when he's talking about promiscuity and perversion.
Butt stuff.
Butt stuff.
I get it.
Yeah.
Babylon, it was destroyed. So. The fall of Babylon pertains to what's going on in American cities these days, especially New York and Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Michael, how do you view AIDS?
I find it...
That is a random question.
I find it peculiar that, that it strikes the way it does. There's always plagues that take innocence with them. I'd be a liar if I told you it didn't have some of the earmarks of a classical plague. But I know that raises tremendous ire with people.
That actually isn't wrong. Like the AIDS epidemic, like the HIV virus.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the conquering of that helped us to actually figure out ways to conquer COVID.
Yes.
Like, in terms of like, if you're talking purely biologically, it's not wrong. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
The trouble is, AIDS still, even in the mid '90s, AIDS, just mentioning AIDS would have been laden with a lot of identity stuff that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yet it seems kind of site specific.
It does, but as you mentioned, of course, it takes with it innocence.
As all chastisement does.
Here's the facts. My wife has been following the apparitions for some time now. She receives something called the Blue Letter that reports on what Mary has revealed to the visionaries.
Right.
Since she began appearing, the message has been to pray, 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 especially as a family. As a family, I'm sorry. Recently, she revealed to the visionaries that people have been responding to her plea for praying, fasting, and penance. And has in some way alleviated or decreased the degree of one of the 7 secrets which have been revealed to the visionaries. So I guess suggesting there has been progress?
I think that's true to some regard. At least.
Did that make any sense? That didn't make any sense to me at all.
No.
Okay.
And I mean, maybe that's a good place. Maybe we should just stick a pin in
Yeah,
this.
because we got past the first time caller who was the Letterkenny style Ontario
and the
caller.
thing with you threw the word A in there. We can if we just wait for every caller is going to be just banana pants because that's how the callers to this show go. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fact. All right, well, that was awesome. I think that we will probably. I know we got. You made me curious to know, Dave, that we got to an hour 20. So we did actually get an hour of content.
We did. We made good progress tonight because we certainly at the start, anyways, we kind of shut our mouths and let the.
Yeah, we let them talk to themselves. So neither of us, just so people know, neither of us hit our bingo.
No, neither of us hit our bingo.
I never got my crop circles. That would have been my best chance.
So I had 10 things. I'm just gonna click through and see if there's any other that I kind of missed, but I don't really see anything.
So we're 10 to 10. I think. If I'm looking from the straight up.
Well, there it is. Yeah, I don't. Paul, we're like true brothers, we're equally matched. Yeah,
I guess so.
You're the yin to my yang.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for tonight. This is a special Monday edition of Coast to Coast, Toast to Toast,
Toast to Toast.
This is likely the last Toast to Toast of 2022, but we will
see. Probably it is. We're getting into the holiday. Yeah. Okay, we brought up that stuff quite a while ago, Doorknob Head. I mean, if you're not keeping up, that's on you, man.
That's right. Yeah. We've had butt stuff throughout the episode because we are a populous channel.
Oh, okay. Hey, Paul, do you want to hear another joke? I didn't do one last week.
Oh, so that's right. We need it. We like to end on a joke. Yes, Dave, I would love to.
So we're going
to joke.
So
hold on, let me put us up on the two here. Two shot.
Yeah. Kicking off. But I guess we should finish off before we go. Yes, I doubt that this particular iteration, you and I here in this show, will be here again in 2022, where both of us have a lot of various commitments and family stuff and things happening between now. I mean, it's going to be a busy time. I suspect it will be January.
We're not ruling it out, but likely not.
Yeah, it's unlikely. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if I ever. So, one day, an old priest is walking through the park downtown, enjoying an afternoon walk in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's walking along, a prostitute comes up to him and says, "Father, I don't know if you know this, but blowjobs are $15." And he says, "Oh no, thank you so much, child, for thinking of me and offering that to me, but I'm not interested. That's not something I want to do, but God bless you. Go about your day." And he carries on his walk.
It's not going to go well.
And as he's walking, another scantily clad, attractive young woman comes up to him and says, "Father, I don't know if you know this, but if you're out around, blowjobs are only $15. And he says, No. I thank you so much for thinking of me and offering this comfort to me, but I'm not interested. It's not something I'm in, but it's wonderful of you to think of me, and I hope we see you at Mass this Sunday. Please come by and come talk to me. I would love to have you anytime." And then he carries on his way. So he finishes his walk and he gets back to the church. And as he's walking up the steps of the church, there's a young nun who's coming down the steps, leaving the church. And he holds up his hand and stops her. And he says, "Sister, can I ask you a question?" And she says, "Of course, Father. Anything you want to know." He goes, "This is incredibly embarrassing, but I don't actually know. What's a blowjob?" And she says, "Oh, well, usually $15, same as they charge at the park."
Oh man, I'm ever so proud of this show that we have built together.
I hope my mom never finds this YouTube channel.
Well, on that note,
good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Toast to Toast.
Good night, brother.